Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to SimPlay Motorsport here for the penultimate round of the Pro Series. It's been 10 grueling weeks, and as we come to this final two here at Watkins, Glen and Donington Park, it should be a fantastic night's worth of action. Mathew Duffin joined in the box by Kelly Davis once again. Kelly, good evening. A short grid once again, which is a shame really that Pro, it looks like it's going to end on this sad note, but we've got 15 drivers out there that's...
Sorry, that was my bad.
That's fine. That's absolutely fine.
Yeah, sorry, that's my bad. Didn't turn me laptop down and still struggling to. Yeah, good evening, Matt. As you say, only 15 out there this evening, which is a little bit disappointing, but hopefully the quality of racing will be good.
Yeah, we hope so. We obviously crowned last night D Hibbs as the Pro-Am champion, obviously all results being provisional until steward inquiries have been dealt with. But I don't think a ticket has gone in on him, and he's got a couple of hours left if anything does do so. He looks like he is dead set to be crowned as champion. GT4s obviously looks like it's going down to the wire with O'Reilly, Tardock, Sylph and Clouden in that one, and obviously Greasy Bandits and MSA there. And tonight in the pros it's no different really. It's the same thing. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drivers can still win the championship mathematically. Realistically it's between 2 of Sylph and of Tardock, with MSA and Audio Sport also in that fight for the constructors. But again, MSA can wrap that one up tonight. Let's not forget, all results are provisional. No result is final and classified until the end of the steward inquiries. When the tables get posted on Instagram and Discord, that is when it is all done. Just noticing that Overtake's actually running in the wrong livery for the moment. For the time being, I've noticed he's running in his full pink livery. So, interesting one already. But, Kelly, Watkins Glen, fantastic track, fantastic place to be. And, yeah, it's going to provide us, I think, with a lot of dramas, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's fast, flowing track, lots of undulations, a lot of banked corners. You can carry some real speed through the corners. There is a couple of overtaking opportunities. We'll get there in a minute. And yeah, I think it's going to make for some good racing. I think we've had a share of good racing already this week, and I don't think we're going to be any different tonight.
No, I don't think we're going to be in for any different tonight. We've got 2 new drivers out there as well. D. Meyer and Van Zyl are new. We don't normally allow new drivers on the grid in the final 3 races, but due to the low numbers in Pro, we spoke to championship contenders. The admins all approved it. We allowed the guys on for these next 2 weeks, obviously due to the fact that it just gives us a couple more people to talk about, doesn't it? So welcome them too. In the Aston Martins, it's going to be interesting to see what them 2 guys can do out there on track. We're currently on board with that. Looks a tight field, Kelly. You know, a second separating the top 11. It looks a good grid.
Yes, it does, although that hasn't been unusual this season, has it? For practice times to be so incredibly close. But yeah, it could be a bit of a procession through some of these drivers, but yeah, we'll see. You know, times that close, although I said there was some overtaking opportunities, you need to be able to get that overlap, and with times that close, it's going to be difficult to do that.
And I'm just looking at the timings next to me here as well, and just noticing that a lot of the guys, and I'm not going to say who is on what fuel load, but a lot of the guys, mixed fuel loads on this grid at the moment, so drivers are in positions with lighter fuel loads or heavier fuel loads, making it that little bit mixed. So it's going to be interesting what we see come towards that first race. Obviously, the first race, reverse grid, for those who are new. Meyer and Van Zyl will start at the back of the grid, and I think it's Williams who will start on pole. So at the minute, he looks like he could be on for that fast first race, and maybe could take his first win at SimPlay Motorsport. In which reverse grids, you know, there's been a lot of talk this season, Kelly, of reverse grids and whether they should stay, whether they should go. And I think we've had a few races this season, and last night for me was no exception, that proves why reverse grid should stay.
Yes, I'm a fan. I think it makes for good racing. I think it spices things up. I mean, how many people have moaned about Formula One when one particular driver is winning week in, week out? And would that be the case? So I think it mixes up the racing for the viewers. So we have some interesting nights, and it helps everyone with racecraft, doesn't it? If you have to overtake.
Do you think for yourself last night, obviously you got that fantastic second place, you had a great fight with Kneebone. Do you think if that was a normal qualifying race that you'd have been in a position to get P2, or is that what the reverse grid can bring, the drivers like yourself an opportunity to get a podium if not a race win?
Quite frankly, no. I don't think I would have been able to. My race pace was good enough to hold most people back, but wasn't strong enough to put me far enough up the grid. In practice, I was what, 10th, I think, in practice. So if I'd qualified 10th, that would have been a bit of an uphill battle to put it on the podium, especially with some of the quicker boys coming from behind me as well. No, I don't think that podium would have been achievable without me starting on the front row last night. I mean, if you didn't see it, it was a great race. Kneebone just beat me in the pits. It was a very fair, controlled race from both of us. Probably one of my best performances personally, as far as in, not cocking it up. So I think it was great racing. And would have we have had that opportunity without reverse grid? Don't think I would. So. Yeah, and gives everybody a chance, doesn't it?
It does indeed, and it was a fantastic night. I watched it back this morning, and I thought it was a great fight. You defended really well, and then attacked really well. Kneebone and you, had a great fight. I think the last time I've seen you drive sort of defensively as good as that in the first part of the race was Argent back at Daytona on Project Cars 2. I think that was still one of your defensive masterclass. Either way, Pro here tonight.
Part of legend.
Yeah. And that was one of the many races you can watch back on the playlist. Absolutely fantastic race that was. I can't remember the season it was, but Kelly in the Porsche, Kieran in the Mercedes, the favoured car for Daytona at the time, and Kelly hung on in there.
Season 3, I think, Matt.
3 or 4, but really early doors here. But what we've got is we've had the rain for GT4s. We had cloudy, overcast conditions for you guys last night. It's pure sunshine. It's 22 degrees track temp. The pros are well looked after. But it's a gorgeous day here at Watkins Glen, isn't it? And this is going to provide a different challenge because tyres are going to be a question in that second race.
Yes, I mean, where are we? Track temperature 22 degrees, and the track is fast at the moment, but that'll ramp up as we go. And I do think, it's going to be a little bit harder on tyres with these lovely conditions. And for those of you who don't know where Watkins Glen, I believe it's just outside New York.
It is,
in America, and as opposed to New York in Cardiff, it's just outside New York, and the weather's glorious again for pro night, and I joke about that the pros always get the best weather, but it is just blind luck. The weather is set to a certain parameters, and it just seems to turn out nice for the pros. So they always get it easy, don't they? But have they earned themselves to be there? So
Yeah, exactly that they have. It's going to be an interesting night's worth of racing here at Watkins Glen, like Kelly said, just outside New York. And what is really going to be, I think, a good penultimate round of the season. It's a good track. It's got a bit of everything. The corners here are the biggest parts. The camber on some of these corners are what play a massive part in how well you do or don't do around here.
Yeah, and a lot of them are late apexes as well, or to get the best out of them. And one of the particular corners that is difficult is at the top of the boot, and we named it off air, but we're not going to use that name on air. And it is really quite difficult. It's uphill, left off camber, and it's a real hurry up and wait corner because you have to get right on the apex, and then you just kind of have to sit there waiting for the car to grip, and then you can get the power down. It really is a corner of patience, and it really does catch some people out. So that's one to watch, and I'm sure we'll point it out to you guys as we go on.
We're just on board with Tardock now as he comes up towards it, and like Kelly says, look, sort of blind on entry as you come up to the hill. It kind of cambers in towards the corner, and it really is, and the exit of it's very crucial as well. It's easy to slide and clip that wall on the outside.
Back end gets extremely loose just as you come up over the apex, and as soon as you start to see the straight in front of you and you think, right, I can nail the throttle now, you can't, because the back end then just starts to step out and complain. So it's one of those as well that the optimistic of the drivers will try and overtake there. unless you catch somebody really napping, then I think it's a hard one to overtake. Of course, the other tricky section on this track is the bus stop or the inner loop chicane. Is a tricky section to get right, and I think we'll have some incidents there as well.
And with that one, Kelly, it's easy to lose on entry as well as on exit.
Yes, you've got to kind of hug the wall on the way in. You've got to have a car that's compliant on the curbs. And if you get it wrong, then it's an aeroplane crash. And as Matt says, on the way out as well, because then you drop straight into a long right-hander downhill, which is another corner of patience. You have to hit the apex and then just sit there waiting for the car to grip up so you can get on the power again. So there's some challenges on this track for sure, Matt.
A couple of your favourite quotes here, isn't it? Hurry up and wait corners is one of your go-to sayings, and that's what this is Will Freeman crosses the line and we can get to the grid. We don't have the grid graphic this evening for you. John hasn't been able to get that to us due to personal reasons, so John, we hope everything's okay and we're sending our love. As well as, and so we'll run you through the grid now. It is Williams on pole from Calsef, Tobias Hoff and Mike Matthews, Matt Wright from Overtaker, Jamal Clouden, Will Friedman, Ben Rook, Dan Davis, Ben Hoopert, Chris Tarlock, Silf, Meyer, Van Zyl rounding out the rear. And the thing I like about this grid is look how close you are to every other driver on it. You are so close to that car in front that if the grid stays that close, Overtaker's changed his livery, I've just noticed, but if you stay that close to the cars in your grid box, there's no wonder why turn one, maybe them S's are quite sketchy.
It airs a race that you and me commentated on, Clio Cups at Brands. We could have one of those type of races where everyone is so close. But I'm sitting in Tardock's seat. I would be sat probably right next to him in the car, or probably just on the centre console, looking at the back of Dan's Porsche, and then you got Ben to the right hand side. You just feel like you could reach out and touch them. Yeah, they're so close.
They are indeed. So we can see the beautiful liveries, like we say. Williams from Calseth with Tobias Hoffer, then Mike. Row 3 is Matt Wright and Overtaker. Row 4, Clouden and Freeman. Row 5, Ben Rook and his teammate Dan Davis. Row 6 is Hoopert from Tardock. Row 7 is Silf from Meyer. And at the back, it's not another audio sport car, just to point that out there. It is Van Zyl in the new livery. Mike's just put in the chat, let's go bowling. Oh, wait, let's not. That's because if I change the camera angle there, you will notice that there is a great big sign at the back of the circuit over the start line that says go bowling. We've so far this week only had one incident at the S's, and it was a relatively small one, to be fair. So let's not go bowling. Let's hope for a clean start. 15 cars on the track. Who's your money on, Kelly?
Oh, who's my money on? I'm just struggling. I'm not, for some reason, I'm not seeing the chat on my YouTube on my tablet. So I work on that. So I can't see the comments at the moment. So that'll be open season for people to rip into me, no doubt. What we got? Cal Seth is reasonably quick, is he not? Mike Matthews in a good position. Overtaker in a good one. Matt Wright's been going well in that GTR and got some straight line speed, hasn't he? Where's the first of the Mustangs?
Williams on pole.
Williams has got a Mustang. He might have a good shout at it, you know. The Mustangs seem to be mighty here with that drag from turn one all the way to the bus stop, basically, to the inner loop. They're on the power all the way from there. So I think that's a good shout. Yeah, I'm going to go and spoil Williams' day and say Williams from pole to flag.
Yeah, I think he's got the pace to do it in race one as well. So, sorry, Williams, you've just had the double curse there. But hey, you never know what's going to happen in this race. It could all be very interesting, and we could see who will do what in it. I tell you what I am liking, though. Meyer's livery at the back, very Aston Martin F1-ish. I am enjoying that Aston Martin livery. That is nice.
Yeah, I was trying to do what's he called? Van Zyl. How are we pronouncing it? Van Zyl. I was trying to look at Van Zyl's one, but I can't because I tend to watch from the on-board position. I can't see his livery very well yet, but we'll wait and see it.
Imagine Ben's, but with orange.
Yeah.
And a bit of a darker blue.
Close to audio sport, isn't it? Yeah.
Good evening in the chat to Gary Clarble, Fury's granddad, Tips, Reese McLaughlin, Beto, Mike Matthews, and Rob Smith, all in the chat. Welcome all, Robert Smith, sorry. Welcome all into the chat. Hopefully you're all well and are having a cracking evening as well. Let's see what will happen in this race. Round 21 of the season, round 21 and 22 tonight. We head then to the home of the SimPlay Straight, the home of SimPlay Motorsport of Donington Park for the season finale. And what a week next week, Kelly. Donington Park GT4 Pro Am Pro, Donington Park Touring Cars.
Yes, it's Donny Park week, and as you said, the home of SimPlay, with the SimPlay Straight. That'll be the straight bit on it. Always a pleasure, Donny, innit? Always.
Yeah, love it. Rounds 23 and 24, the final races of the season. Good evening to Chris Danes in the chat as well. Donington Park will be our season finale. Obviously, we saw the 13 track calendar. And we are, with the Patreons, getting the votes in on what they would like for the morning, night, and the 2 nights, the morning and the evening races, as well as we'll get into a little later on the 24-hour of Nordschleife, coming up in 2 and a bit weeks. So really getting close now to the 24 hours of Nordschleife then. It's Williams who's going to take them away on pole here at Watkins Glen in the USA, just outside of New York. It's Mustang versus Ferrari. It's green and go for round 21, and it's Hoffer and Mike Matthews on that second row. Look at Overtaker and Matt Wright further down the grid as Williams gets away really, really well as they all come through. That's Ben Rook who's on the grass, manages to not hit anybody as he rejoins. Thankfully there. Now coming into the S's, Mike Matthews got the jump on Tobias Hoffer. Mike Matthews has. Overtaker's got past out of Matt Wright, and now he's on the back of Tobias Hoffer in the Bentley. Overtaker pulls left, going to back to the right to have a look on the back of the Bentley once more here. Coming down the back stretch in towards the inner loop. Overtaker, 2 wheels on the grass, just dabs the brakes a little bit. Into the inner loop they go, and it's all clean at the start of the front of the pro grid so far. But it is Williams from Kalsef, Mike Matthews, Hoffer from Overtaker, Matt Wright, Will Friedman had a great start to stay ahead of Dan Davis. And it's Hoopert, Tardot, Clouden lost out with Sylph, Meyer, Van Zyl and Ben Rook bringing up the rear.
Yeah, I didn't see what happened to Clouden, but he went backwards in that race. I stayed on board with Tardot, which is what I normally do. He got a little bit squeezed with Clouden as they went up the hill, but no real dramas in turn 1. It's pretty much what it's been all week, hasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much so far so good. It's Williams and Kalseth stretching their legs as Tardot's having a look on Dan Davis now. Dan's gone a bit defensive, coming down in towards heel in this section of the circuit. Down the boot they go. Tardot late on the brakes around the outside of Dan Davis. No harm in that, nothing done apart from the fact he's lost out to Hoopert, who's going to try and go right round the outside of him. No, it's Hoopert, who was attacking Dan. It's Tardot who's trying to attack Hoopert. Tardot and Sylph really in this championship fight. Hoopert and Dan Davis trying to stay alive, but so far so good. Good evening to Benedict Varga as well, and Dan Davis and Will Friedman now hassling the back of that Nissan. What's happened, Kevin?
Hooper just got absolutely onto the front wheel on the curb on the last corner, and the back end stepping out all over the place. I'm expecting, there he goes, Tardot, to go down the inside into the braking zone. You can get right on the inside of turn 1 and still get good traction out of it. So Tardot makes that place after Hoopert's mistake.
Yeah, I'm still on the back of him now, trying to get a run. I noticed while you were saying that Will Friedman clattered the outside wall on the exit of the final corner, and here comes Sylph. 2 Ford Mustangs punching a big hole in the air for Sylph. Tardot on the defensive. Hoopert trying to look to the outside. Sylph's going to have a look up the inside. This could be 3 abreast coming into the inner loop, and Sylph tags the back of Tardot. Hoopert is the side of Sylph, and it's all handbags coming through here. They make more contact. Sylph bounces off the wall. Ben avoids. No, Ben just clips him, and Ben goes into the wall. And I tell you what, there, handbags between the Ford Mustangs. Handbags. This proves, Kelly, and it proves something really fascinating. MSA is gloves off for this championship. They are letting their drivers fight. Dan Davis cleared Will Friedman, and Tardot's going to have a look at Friedman now, but doesn't do it there.
That was if you were team manager, you'd be having kittens after that. Yeah, it wasn't the greatest bit of. It's just so difficult to overtake in that bus stop. So difficult. It draws you in, and you think it's going to be great and be fine. I can do it. You can't.
And the problem is, as well, Kelly, is you get such a run in that double slipstream up the S's down the back straight that you get an almighty run. You've either got to get out of it or commit to it. Still tried to commit to it. It didn't work. Tobias Hoffer here, by the way, still sitting in P4. The top three have checked out. Tobias Hoffer holding this train of cars up, doing a great job in the Bentley. Dan had nothing but praise for Hoffer in race one at Alton Park for his defensive driving. As Matt Wright's now going to have a look at Overtaker in the background in towards turn one. Matt Wright looking up the inside, can't do so. Dan Davis, I think Matt Wright backed out of it because Dan nearly got into the boot of that Nissan coming into turn one there.
Yeah, and that Nissan should pull away from Dan with its grunt. The Porsche really struggling in this track, especially in this sector from turn one to the bus stop, struggling on power, where the Mustangs and the GTR have got pure grunt, and probably Hoffer has got a bit of. I'm on with Friedman. That was scruffy.
I didn't see what happened with Friedman. What happened there? Because I was watching. Sorry, go on.
Entry into the bus stop, got it all out of shape, but collected it in the middle and got it back in the right direction. No real harm done. So great save there from Will Friedman. As he ends up behind Dan again. They seem to end up on track together, don't they, those two Porsches?
They do indeed. I was watching Tobias Hoffer. Him and Overtake went side by side, and Hoffer gave him a bit of a Duffin chop into the bus stop chicane, but I think I think the camera angle made it look worse than what it was. I think Overtaker had backed out of it earlier. Is that side by side Jamal Clouden, and I believe that is Hoopert. Yes, it is Hoopert getting past Jamal Clouden here, with that of Meyer looking on in the background. So Hoopert back up another place. So it's Williams from Calseth from Mike Matthews. Pit window opens now, with it then being Tobias Hoffer, Overtaker, Matt Wright, Dan Davis, Will Friedman and Tardock in a train as Hoffer gets it a little wrong. Coming out of the left-hander. Overtaker gets through at the penultimate corner, so that's one move done. Taker runs a little wide. That could be a track limit warning, and Matt Wright already going to commit to the pit lane, as is Tardock. And what you've just seen there, folks, was Wright and Tardock doing the correct procedure for pit entry. That is staying below the yellow line and making sure they do not cut that pit entry line, and that for Dan and Friedman caught them out a little bit. They couldn't take the apex as normal at full speed because there's a car there.
Yep, and that's what you've got to do. You've got to respect that anyone who's in the pit lane. You've got to pay attention, you know. And it's a different line. You have to slow down an awful lot more, obviously, because you're not just trying to straighten out the corner. You're trying to stay in that lane and then hit your marks and make sure you don't get a speeding fine and go too fast into the pits. I still haven't worked out why my chat isn't working on my YouTube, but I want to say good evening to Benji this evening, and I hope you've been to your internet provider today and asked them about sorting out your lagging, because you destroyed the front of my car last night when you did your Doctor Who impression and materialised on my bonnet. So
the Bentley's just sorry, Kelly, the Bentley's just been bounced on the grass a little bit. That's allowed Dan to have a look. Dan's just gone a little wide and deep there just to avoid the back of the Bentley. That allowed Friedman to. Yeah, I don't think you can really cut in on these corners, Kelly, can you? I don't think the corners allow you to do that.
It depends how much grip you've got, of course, I suppose. But I think you can get a bit of a drive out of that corner. But Dan just goes, went wide there. Friedman nearly gets into the back of Dan as we go. That's the corner I was talking about earlier. Tricky uphill left off camber, and it really is. The next one is pretty much almost flat. Well, I say almost flat. A bit of a confidence lift. Dan late into that pit lane, and Friedman follows him in. Little bit better on the pit entry than Dan. Of course, if he hasn't got a speeding penalty and a drive-through, but he seemed to be a little bit later on the brakes and just gained. I mean, this is what Nebo did to me last night. He was so much better on the entry.
I think Dan looked a bit in two minds here, whether he should pit or not.
Yeah, it might have been a last-minute decision there. But they're in, and we'll see how that pans out for them. So Matt Wright is the highest runner who's already pitted, but that means nothing at this stage. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah,
so,
means nothing at this stage. We're watching a fight between the two Aston Martins. They're not teammates. They are different team. One's an independent. One is Team Audio Sport. Ben's got that damage from that incident with Sylph after Sylph bounced off the wall. I'm surprised Ben didn't bring that in straight away, because that looks like it's hampering his progress here.
I don't know what the decision process is. Tardock had a look at Matt Wright into the last corner but couldn't make it stick, and Matt Wright comes out and it looks like Friedman and Dan have just pulled out in front of them, so Tardock behind Matt Wright in close company, and then Will Friedman.
They both jumped Matt Wright, if I'm correct there. I think Dan was behind Matt Wright, because Matt Wright was behind Overtaker in the Bentley. Here comes the Nissan on the outside of Will Friedman. Tardock thinks of making this 3 wide into the bus stop. Here he goes, Tardock. Spins Matt Wright around. Day late, dollar short, and again got that double slipstream up the inside. And like Kelly said, so easy to misjudge it. Jamal Clouden will now get past that of Tardock and could now get past that of Matt Wright. No, I don't think he will. Meyer could also get through as Kalsef and Hoffer pit. But that was day late, dollar short, and Will Friedman must have breathed a sigh of relief as he didn't get collected in that incident.
Yeah, that had airs of Hakkinen and Schumacher at Spa, but ended up more like Demolition Derby in the end. It's just so hard to do through that chicane. You have 3 of them. You have to have complete compliance with everybody. And as Clouden has a look, Tardock has a look up the ice inside of Clouden to try and salvage something out of this race. Matt Wright still in front of these two. Where is Will Friedman in all that? He's up the road now, second and a half. And he got back on the back of Dan.
Well, he's 6 seconds clear of Matt Wright. He's not far off the back of Dan by 1.2. Mike's lost a lot of time to the leader. Van Zyl's still on the back of Ben, but them two haven't pitted. The top 5 yet to pit. Kalsef comes out the pit lane, and I'd say the undercut for Dan has possibly pulled him a little bit closer, especially with some clear air. Dan's a bit closer to Kalsef, not quite on the back of him. Now, do you remember many moons ago, Kelly, we commentated back in Pro on Project Cars 2 and said, well, we can't remember the last time Gary Leach didn't win a race in a championship. Well, we go into this week and we go into next week at the minute, could be saying the same thing about Dan Davis, yet to win a race this season. That seems crazy. I mean, I know he's in the wrong car, but just based off history, he's always at least took a race win.
It's certainly been a very lean period for Dan. He's been trying to get the best out of that Porsche, but it's just not the right car for this at the moment for this season. And it's been a barren period, but it's happened to the best of them. Yeah. I do believe that the great Lewis Hamilton had a year without a win, or maybe one.
Maybe 2.
Maybe had 1 win. We'll see.
Oh, no.
Still Donny Park to come, mind. And Dan, am I right in saying, holds the record at Donny Park?
In the Lexus.
Console?
In the Lexus.
Yeah, but means he knows his way round, doesn't it?
Dan knows his way around all the British circuits as Will Friedman gets close to the rear. Coming there, then Van Zyl, Mike and Williams in the pit. So let's go to Kalsef and see where Kalsef will come out. You keep an eye on the Will Friedman-Dan Davis fight. Yeah. I'm interested in where Kalsef's going to come out in terms of Williams and Mike Matthews. It looks like Mike's dropped off the back of Williams a little bit. Williams is away now and will be off the limiter very shortly, because the limiter line comes up quick. He's off the limiter now. Mike's still not away. Mike's now away, so Dan Davis could be in the conversation here. Mike's now off the limiter, so let's go to Mike Matthews. There he is. The 997 of Kalsef goes through, and Mike Mathew will come out ahead of Dan Davis and of Will Friedman by a couple of seconds as well. So Mike has control over this podium. Depending on Overtaker, he's still going in this. He could upset the apple cart by being in front of Dan. Let's not forget, he was just ahead of Dan and Friedman with Matt Wright and Tobias Hoffer before the pit window opened. So this is really, has Overtaker gone long enough to maybe get closer to Mike and Kalsef, or has Overtaker gone too long that Dan and Friedman's going to jump him?
Will Friedman is all over the shop tonight. You know how we usually, I usually been watching a lot of the back of Dan's Porsche from Will Friedman's perspective, and Dan's Porsche has always looked very loose, but tonight Will Friedman, certainly on that lap, the back end is wagging all over the place. He's up and over the curbs. It looks very unstable tonight.
Well, I'm currently watching Jamal Clouden and Meyer here then at the moment, and I tell you what, this is an absolutely interesting fight, because Jamal Clouden doesn't look very stable either. Ben Rugg's in the pits. That's a long stop. He's had his bonnet lifted a little bit there, so yeah, that's a little bit long for Ben. Has to have been. Yeah. We'll see what pace he lost. He was just out of Van Zyl, let's not forget. Van Zyl's just off the back of these two at the moment. And Maya patiently waiting behind Jamal Clouden. We've got Will Freedman still on the back of Dan Davis. And they're only 2 seconds off the back of Mike. Mike himself's only 1.1 off the back of Calseth here. So, a couple of interesting fights. Ben Rook then was ahead of Van Zyl. We'll go back to the Maya and Clouden fights. We see Van Zyl in the background. And we'll see when Ben Rook goes green. If Ben could live with that, I'd be surprised if he's going to repair that with 6.5 minutes left to go. Excuse me.
Yeah, track position is so important. If he can live with that damage, then he'll take it. Will Freeman having a look at Dan on the S's again. He ain't going to go through there, Will. As much as you want to squeeze it through, I don't think it will. Is he going to have a pop at Dan at the chicane? We had, I thought something happened up above, but it was just a blur. Will Freeman trying to go around the outside of Dan in the chicane. This will be interesting. They touch. Dan makes the corner. Will. He doesn't. No, Dan doesn't make the corner. And Will Freeman collects him. Every time, Matt, don't do it. Don't do it into the chicane.
Yeah, the smallest of contact upset Dan's car. Dan hits the curb, which then unsettles it even more. Round Dan went. Freedman finishes him off, and he loses out to Hoopert and to... Was it just Hoopert and Freedman? I believe it was just Hoopert and Freedman, wasn't it? Yes, it was. Tordok got past Hoffer in all of that, and Van Zyl did... Ben stays ahead of Van Zyl. Or has repassed Van Zyl actually, because his name's ahead of him as they went through Sector 1. So Ben's back in front of Van Zyl. Ben didn't repair damage, so that's key to note. Overtaker now in the pits. Now, has he gone long enough to maybe jump Mike? I think now, due to that Freedman-Dan incident, he should stay ahead of them two, but it's whether or not now he's jumped Mike and Calseth. Here comes Williams, and track limits are going to be a key tonight as well. Very easy to run wide and pick up a track limit warning, as we say good evening to Dean Wasocki in the chat as well. But here comes Williams coming to across the line. He will comfortably go ahead of Overtaker. Overtaker's now gone green. This is crucial for this podium position. Overtaker is off the pit limiter as Calseth is alongside, as Mike goes alongside. Overtaker comes off the limiter. Mike comes through turn 1. There is Taker going long as Mike has a huge wiggle, and that's allowed Overtaker the podium.
Yes, indeed. Mike was right off the track and collected it all up as Overtaker left the pit lane, so that could have sealed his fate tonight.
That could have sealed his fate. I reckon he's possibly just gifted Overtaker a little podium there, to be honest with you. I think Mike Matthews' wiggle has caused him a few problems. Tordok's now on the back of Dan Davis. Good evening to Peaceful Stepdad as well. Tordok then, who seems to be making all these moves in the essence.
Matt Wright having to go at Hoffer again on the outside of the chicane, backs out of it. That was sensible to get out of it because it's just not working, you know. So I don't know why these guys keep trying it. I really don't. But Matt Wright was a bit more sensible there, backed out of it. You've got to be passed before you get to the chicane. That's the only way you're going to do it.
Yeah, you've got to have that nose ahead. And you know, the driver on the outside's got to realise that and back out of it. You're fully right, Kelly. Dan's defending from Tordok now. We've got Hoffer defending from Wright. We've got Clouden defending from Meyer. We've got Ben and Van Zyl pretty close together. Mike's 1.2 off of Overtaker. He could do with going with Overtaker here and Taker getting on the back of Calseth. Them two having a bit of an argy-bargy moment, and Mike maybe getting involved in that fight to take the podium. Tordok's now down, and Dan's around again. Tordok is slow and waiting. Hoopert and Matt Wright have both got past them. Clouden is through, Meyer is through, and I tell you what, Kelly, if it doesn't rain, it pours. I'm a little. The racing I've seen so far tonight is a little bit on the disappointing side for the calibre of these guys. You know, these are all the sharp end, and I think it's all been a little bit down there, a little bit desperate. You know, and driving into gaps that are always going to, or not going to be there when you get there. So it's just, for me, Matt, it's just been a little bit like that in this race. Yeah, fully agree with you. There's been gaps that have just disappeared, and it's just not been the greatest to race. We've now got Hoffer back up into 7th with Wright, Tordok, Clouden, Meyer all in a little queue. Van Zyl and Ben Rook still having a bit of a fight there. 7/10. Matt Wright though has a run on the Bentley, coming down the back straight now towards the inner loop. Matt Wright pulls to the outside line. I assume he's going to hit the brakes a little earlier. No, they hit the brakes at the exact same time. Matt Wright's going to keep it side by side through the inner loop, and if you're going to try and do it, that's how you do it. But he has a slide, and Tordok capitalises as well. And I thought Matt Wright maybe got away with it, but he hits the curb. curb and has a slide.
That's it. On the exit, he got all out of shape. He had to collect it back together. He did collect it. And now Tardok's all out of shape on the downhill. Gets up on the curb. Back end's all over the place. Matt Wright having a go at him. Tardok up on the grass again. And Matt Wright can have a go round the outside. He's keen on having a try round the outside, isn't he? But has to tuck back in. And so Hoffer lives through all of this.
Yeah.
Again, I haven't seen anybody make it happen. Yeah.
It was kind of half done, wasn't it? It was great respect shown from Hoffer and Matt Wright. They went side by side. Wright then hits one of the exit curbs a bit wrong. That unsettles the car and he loses out to Tardok.
That bus stop chicane is threading a needle. That's what it is, you know. And if you're not threading the needle, you've missed it, haven't you? So, and that's just shown that time and time again.
Tardok looking up the inside of the Bentley. Bentley manages to stay in front. Tardok backed out of that. Knew he wasn't alongside enough. Overtaker starting to gap Mike's, and Mike's not got an answer in this race. I'm sure he'll still take a P4. P4 still a solid result for Mike in what has been a pretty dismal season for himself. But he'd have loved that podium. And Tardok now looks late up the inside of Hoffer into turn one. They go side by side. Lovely little move. Close to door banging here. Matt Wright now could have a heck of a run up the S's. It's Tardok who gets ahead of the Bentley. The Bentley can't come across because Matt Wright's there. Now they're three abreast. Three great big tanks, all of different manufacturers. And Matt Wright sat in the box seat in that slipstream of the Bentley just behind Tardok and Hoffer. Has a look to the inside. I think he may have just got off the throttle a little bit there, Kelly, because he didn't seem to have the momentum as Hoffer has a mid inner loop snap. But he manages to hang on to it. And I tell you what, this is a great... that was fantastic.
The Tardok move in on Hoffer into turn one. That's how it should be done. Hoffer saw that he was there. Tardok got alongside within a sensible range, and Hoffer gave him room. But I mean, he didn't give him the corner, but he gave him enough room because he was aware that he was there. Good driving from both of those. That one.
Van Zyl has got past Ben Rook. Just noticed that he was close. Van Zyl is ahead of Ben Rook, and now the Nissan once again of Matt Wright having a look down into heel on Tobias Hoffer. Hoffer defends that inside line once again. We're going to the end though because Williams is going to cross the line to take the race win and the fastest lap. Good stuff from him. Mike Mathews got within 7/10 of Overtakers. So Takers had a moment, but Kalsef will take P2. Overtaker's going to come across to be back on the podium. Mike Mathews P4 from Will Freeman P5. Hooper P6 as Tardok here. We'll get what's happened in the background in a moment, Kelly. In fact, Kelly, I'll let you. In fact, wait a second. We'll go back to it in a minute. Tardok 7th, Hoffer 8th. Is that going to be Jamal across the line 9th? It is Jamal from Matt Wright, from Meyer. It's then going to be Dan Davis from Van Zyl, from Ben Rook, and Sylph finished the lap down. What happened, Kelly, at the end there?
Matt Wright got a proper tank slapper on the penultimate corner and was collecting it all back up into the last one. Of course, this gave Clouden a run. I don't know how close Clouden was when they came into that section, but Matt Wright had to hold on to a real tank slapper, and that just gave Clouden the run, and that's how that kind of panned out.
That's how that one panned out then. So that then is your first race of the evening. What a start to the pro night. We'll be back in a few moments' time with race number 2. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back then, ladies and gentlemen, to SimPlay Motorsport here for round 22. It's the qualifying session of the evening. Championship down to 3 drivers. Silf and Torlock is 24 points. 156 back for Hooper. He can mathematically win it still, but it is a long shot. But MSA Racing are your provisional Constructors champions in this race. Dethroning SimPlay Racing of the last 3 years, they are your provisional Constructors champions. And McLaren have got confirmed their win in the Manufacturers Championship. Not that anybody cares about that one. Of course you care. O'Reilly drops to 4th, Dan is 5th from Will Friedman, Ben Ruck overtaker, Jamal Clouden, Matt Wright from Mike Matthews, and it's Patrick Legend, Michael Harris, Tobias Hoffer, Skunky, Carlos, Viper Leach, Calsef McGowan, Williams, O'Brien, Meyer, Van Zyl, Bates, Richie, Collin and Pocket, with your constructors being MSA from his Team Audio Sport, SimPlay Racing, Greasy Bandits, Quantum Motorsport, Old School Racers, Team FBR, Team SPR, Effects Motorsport and Red Rum Racing. Qualifying has started and we'll flick through the different drivers, but we'll kind of comment on it as and when we see anything. Dan, Van Zyl and Friedman all still in the pits. They can come out to set a lap. Nobody on a qualifying ban tonight. In fact, Will Friedman might be actually. His may be GT4. Let me just double check that. No, everybody can qualify tonight, so that is all good to go there. We're going to get into that normal sort of period now. 2.5 weeks. So what have we got? So 2 weeks tomorrow will be the qualifying session for the Nordschleife 24 charity event in honour of trying to raise some money to beat cancer research. 2 weeks tomorrow is that qualifying session. We encourage drivers, please sign up to this event. It's all for cancer research. It's all for a good cause. Let's raise some money. Let's get let's get as many cars and drivers on this grid as possible, without the retirements, without the rage quitting and all that lot.
Yeah, it's not about that.
It's not a race to win. It's a race for something. And I think this is. We did it before, as we've said many a times this season. We want a big grid. Let's try and get them 30 cars all out there. Let's try and get as close to that as possible and just have an enjoyable night. Some good racing in an enjoyable 24-hour period.
Absolutely, and the challenge is to survive the Nordschleife. And I saw in the chat when I did finally get some of the chat to see that Benji said, nice run at the Nordschleife, Kelly. I had a go at it earlier today before we came on air and improved my time, but not really because I didn't get a valid lap, but I got round and 24 hours of it sounds like an uphill battle. You don't have to do it on your own, although some of the brave are doing it. Mike Matthews and no?
Mike can't.
Is he not?
No, he can't do it on his own.
Oh, right, okay. Why? Is he not physically fit enough?
Friends from Mexico are over that weekend.
That's a shame. Right.
So he's doing it with me, Dan and Ben.
Okay, right. Oh, so he's the fourth Audio Sport driver then, is he? That's news to me, but there you go. Welcome, member of the team, Audio Sport stroke SimPlay. So what we got? Lexi's going to try and do it on her own, isn't she?
Yeah, Benny Archer from GT4s. He's doing it on her own. He's doing it on his own. The problem is, at the minute, I'm looking at the entries. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 cars signed up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them have got solo drivers. I don't know if all them teams are running solo or whether they're, haven't confirmed all the other people who's running in their teams. But at the minute, that's what we've got.
Okay, well, let's put the drivers to the side for just 1 minute, right? The rest of us who aren't driving, myself, I know you are, Matt, you're going to get involved this time where you didn't the last time. I'm not getting involved. I'm just going to be in and out of the comms box as much as I possibly can. Unfortunately, I can't commit to the full 24 either, but I'm going to do as much as I possibly can. And my mission for this time is to get £2,500, £2,500. I want to see in donations at the end of it. Now, I know times are hard and, so on and so forth, but we've all had people who've been affected by cancer and, there's 1 in 3 is the statistic. 1 in 3, Matt, that's crazy, isn't it?
It is, it's massive.
That's the statistic of people that will experience cancer in their lives, so we have to do as much as we possibly can. Now, modern research and modern medicines is meaning that people are beating cancer and they are living longer. My partner's mum had cancer and was diagnosed terminal and told she had 6 months to live. With modern medicines, she lived for another 14 years. Yeah,
fantastic.
That was absolutely unheard of 30 years ago. Now, what can we do today? Could we possibly live in a world where cancer could be cured for everybody? I would love to think so, and we can be part of that by putting in putting in the donations and getting that £2.5 for cancer research. We've done 1,200 before.
Yeah.
The last time we did the Nordschleife for 24, that was 5 years ago. We're a much bigger community. We are one of the, if not the premier console league out there. SimPlay Motorsport is a huge community, and I want everybody, not just those of you who follow us week in, week out, and we have a laugh, so on and so forth. Get your friends involved. If they could just tune in, donate, join us, whichever they like.
Yeah.
We want everybody to get involved. I've got people getting involved, Matt. Hi to the boys at the Kawasaki Centre next door to me at Audio Sport Towers. They're going to donate. They're going to be watching. They're going to be getting involved. Now, get your friends on to this. Let's make it something truly epic.
Yeah, I think I've got people involved as well. I've got to speak finalise stuff with Racing Unleashed, the company that I do commentary for.
Sure.
To possibly get some people involved from there. I've got to speak with the sporting director from that one, which again will just be another massive step in terms of what we are, because at the end of the day, they're an esports community as well, and that's what we all are. We're all a big esports community. We're all here to have a good fun, especially in that 24 hour. It's all for having a good fun and having a laugh and trying to raise a lot of money. It's not about the racing. The racing's just there for us to have a challenge because of the challenge that people go through who are affected by cancer. But it is for, to try and raise some funds, to try and get some money back, and to just try and like Kelly says, help that 1 in 3 people that is affected by this. So hopefully we can raise some good funds and just have a good time in the process of raising some money and having a good 24-hour period of racing. The qualifying will be brought 2 weeks' time on the Friday evening. One driver can qualify. That driver cannot start the race, meaning that it will be somebody else to start the race, and then after that we will be able to go and progress from there. And it's just going to be a fantastic night. You did to Martin Van Montfort in the chat, Swindlemac as well as Gary Clarble in there as well. Chat's been a bit quiet tonight. Let's hear from you. But yeah, it's going to be a cracking night. It's going to be a cracking event. I'm looking forward to it. I know you are. And like Kelly says, tell your friends and family, because at the end of the day, whether it's £1, $1, €1, a dime, whatever a penny, whatever it may be, every little bit does go a long way. And especially here in the United Kingdom, I can't speak for the rest of Europe and the rest of the world, but especially in the United Kingdom right now, times are a little tough. We know the way in which things have gone in this country. But just £1 is much appreciated. Whether it's £1, whether it's £5, £10. I think we had a guy donate £100 last time. Every donation means the same. Nothing means any more because they've donated more. It all means the same.
On the day, Matt, it's going to be easy to donate. Yes, it's going to be something we can do.
There's going to be a link in the chat. There's going to be a link in the description. It's going to be on our Discord page. It's going to be on our Facebook page. We'll put it on our Instagram story. It's going to be... we're going to just try and post it everywhere from this weekend on moving forward. Now it's going to be posted a lot more for you guys to be able to get involved, whether it's on the SimPlay Facebook page. And if you follow the SimPlay Facebook page, share it. Get that shared. Tell your friends and family to share it, because if we share it and everybody else sees it, it just goes that little bit further once again. Same with Instagram. If you see it on there, share it that little bit further. If you're on Discord, tell friends, tell families, tell communities about this. Get them in the Discord as well. If they want to sign up and think, I fancy a bit of that race, get them in the Discord. Get them to sign up for that race as well.
and commentating. You know, there's going to be loads of us in and out of the comms box. If you want to join us, just come and have a chit chat with us. We got 24 hours. I mean, it's not going to be hectic racing. It's an endurance. It's about them surviving. So there's going to be lulls in the race, and we need content. So come and chat to us. Just come and join us in the comms box and chat motorsport, you know, or chat anything. You can chat what toppings you like on your pizza. That's a SimPlay favourite.
It's a SimPlay favourite, yeah.
It is pineapple on your pizza. Don't be so silly, you know. And we can discuss that, and many other topics will be covered in the 24-hour. So we feel free. We can come and join us. We'll get you involved. And yeah, so just we need everyone on this one. We're just asking you all for your help.
Exactly, and you know, like we said, everything is much appreciated. Whatever the help is, it is all appreciated. Yeah, that comes up then in 2 weeks' time, so not long left. Obviously, we've got the Donington decider for whatever championships are left to run next week. And then the Nordslife event will be the week after that. On the Friday night will be the qualifying. Saturday mid-afternoon will be the start of the race. As David Pierre in the chat saying, roll on Nords. Damien Hibbs, an amazing thing you are setting up. I'll be watching and in the chat as much as I can. Martin Van Monfort, whoa, these pole lap times are quick. Looks like a Ford track. Indeed it does. And I'll share to the ARL as well. Definitely will make a personal donation. Thank you very much, Swindle Mac. And get some of the lads from ARL up on board as well.
More the merrier, more the merrier. It's about the event. Everyone is welcome. And yes, you're right. The Fords are mighty. Matt, let's talk a little bit about that, shall we? It's that first sector, isn't it? It's that first sector from turn one to the bus stop.
Let me bring up the timetable for you, Kelly. We can see here, look on the timetable, Tardock 28.9, Sylph 28.9, Overtaker 29.0, Williams 28.8. They're all the Fords. Freedman's and the next quickest car, 29.2. Loses 4 tenths to Williams' best sector one. The Aston Martin 29.1s for both the Aston Martins, and Nissan's a 29.0. You know, again, down to Dan Davis 29.3. So the power cars have got that first sector. Hooper down in 14th, but a 29.0 first sector. So that the powerful cars have got that first sector locked down. Middle sector's a little closer. 33.7's the best middle sector. That's where Hooper's lost all his time.
It's more about the corners. Again, after you're through the bus stop, you know, then the corner after that, the downhill right-hander. Again, like I said earlier, hurry up and wait corner where you just got to sit on the apex and wait for the grip. Then you drop down the hill, and it's a section of those middle corners is a bit more of a level playing field for everyone. And then the last sector, of course, we've talked about the uphill left-hander, which is at the top of the boot, is right in prime position at the top of the boot for a great track name, but it's really tricky. And you know the track, you know the corner name that I came up with, not for broadcast. But it's off camber. It's tricky. It takes patience. And Dan was coaching me a little bit in the week because he was here and he drove my McLaren actually, and he said it's a completely different animal to his Porsche. And you know, I always say about his Porsche kind of wagging its tail around. He says that's the way you've got to drive it, you know, because otherwise you'll be absolutely nowhere. As the man himself just messes up the bus stop, and that
he's
went
done.
badly.
He's done. That's not going to be another lap for Dan Davis. So he's down in 10th place as Matt Wright stays 9th. Who put behind will start one last valid lap. The 163 of Meyer, and I'm loving the Aston Martin colours on Meyer's car tonight. He doesn't improve. What about Ben Rupp, currently sat P8? Can he improve? No, but we'll get one more lap time in. Jamal Cloudon's coming towards the end of his qualifying session. He'll get one more run in here, and I believe we may just get Overtaker and Sylph, who'll get another lap time on the board. I'm going to go to Tardock next man on a valid lap. I think Tardock's got this pole pretty much. Half a second is a big change for Sylph to turn that around.
Yeah, what's Hooper playing at?
All the middle sector I've noticed is where Hooper's lost all his time. So I wonder if he's just had his best lap. He had a bad middle sector. So that's where he's got to change.
2.5 seconds off the pace. That doesn't sound right for Hooper, does it?
It doesn't at all. So Tardock will actually get one more lap time in. Does he improve? No, and he's actually going to bail on that last lap. 21 of Hoffer. This is going to be close. I think Hoffer may be done. He is done. That yellow flag may turn into the cello flag.
Sorry, mate, go on.
No, you're all right.
Hooper just messed that up at the bottom of the hill. Got all up on the curb, and he nearly went round. So I don't think he's going to improve. So he's done, and he's not going to get over the line.
Well, the number four, Will Friedman's done. Williams done. The number 14 of Ben has just pulled over and returned to the pits. Mike Matthews down in 12th. Would love to find an improvement. He's on his final flying lap here. Round the final corner, gets as close to that outside wall as he possibly can. He's going to keep it going straight. What will a lap time be? No improvement for him. What about then that of Matt Wright? Stays P8. Hooper crosses the line. Improves. Goes to P11. So jumps above Clouden and Mike Matthews. But Clouden's still on a lap time out there. So what will Clouden, Overtaker and Sylph do? Clouden 1.5 off the pole. That's a big gap for Clouden.
Yeah, I was looking at some of these times. I mean, take the first four.
Clouden's done.
The first four Fords, and then Matt Wright is in that as well. But then look, Ben Rook, Dan Davis, Hooper, Clouden, Matthews, all quick guys, you know, all normally a little bit closer to the front end.
Friedman's 9. I know he's fifth, it's 6th, but he's 9/10 off the pole.
Yeah.
That is a huge margin for Will.
Yeah, and where's this all come from? Is this low fuel and track optimum? Remember our practice times? There was only a second, about 11th or 12th.
11th, 12th, yeah. So I don't know what this is. Sylph improved at the end, but stayed second place. It wasn't enough for him to improve fully. So Tardok will take another point out of that championship of Sylph's there then. So this could be going down to Donington, you know, 20-odd points. I'll tell you the gap fully in just a moment. I'm just inputting the qualification results.
Tardok, the 42.7, Matt, that is
crazy.
Absolute. Yeah, that is madness. That's very, very, very quick. I think he may be going shooting off into the distance. I don't know, we might have a Tardok Sylph battle, or Taker's in there as well. He likes to get involved in a bit of a scrap, so that might be interesting. The midfield's going to be interesting. Don't go anywhere, people. I think this could be a good one, you know.
Yeah, I agree. Who would your money be on in this race?
Tardok. Tardok all day long and twice on Sunday at the moment, you know. I think Sylph's going to give him a run, but I think Tardok has got the edge on this one. I think, you know, he had at the end of it, he still had 4 tenths in hand. All he's got to do is get his head down and, you know, concentrate and keep his cool, you know.
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. So, championship-wise now, it's 23 points between the top two. Yeah, that's pretty...
What have we got left?
We get 56 win and fastest lap here. But there is 170 points left up for grabs, so 23 is a very small amount.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And you know, it's not like you know, this kind of championship is not like Formula One, where you know everyone kind of finishes in about the same place every week. A 23-point gap could be overturned in one race, couldn't it? You know, absolutely.
Could be done now. You look at Sylph, he finished a lap down last time around. Well, evening to Jamie Brace, who says Mustang 1, 2, 3, 4, a few American flags and a few Eagles. But you look at Sylph's race in that first one, Kelly, lap down. You imagine Tardok winning that race and Sylph finished 15th. Yeah, that's a huge chunk of points. That is exactly. So what's that? 55. So in fact, hang on. Where did Hooper finish? Where did Tardok finish race one? So that was 7th. He scored 30. So he pulled 14 points back in race one just for him finishing 7th and Tardok 16th. You know, so. Big gap. I think lap one's going to be crucial because the run out to turn one up the S's, you know, when you're that lead car, you're giving that slipstream away. I think that slipstream's going to be key into the bus stop first lap.
I suppose it depends on if Silth and Overtaker can stay close in turn 1. Pole position is actually on the dirty side, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, which is, last night I started and I thought, oh my God, we're on the dirty side here for pole position. So it's not ideal really, but certainly not ideal if you've got someone who's equally as quick right beside you, because you haven't got room to pull across. Although I still believe that turn 1 you can do from the inside. There's a lot of runoff, a lot of it before track limits pings up as well. You can run that curb quite deep on the exit of turn 1. So
yeah, let's see what happens. I think we're in for a cracking race, if I'm going to be honest with you. I think this could be a belter up and down the grid, because I think there's a lot that can happen in that midfield battle as well. But it does look like it could be a Ford track at the front. Let's see what will happen here then, as Martin says, Kelly, you had your birthday yesterday, right? Or did I not understand it correctly? It was Kelly's birthday. He was 28 years young.
27, Matt.
27, sorry, apologies. How dare I add a year on?
Times 2.
Times 2. Mike Matthews,
I wasn't 18 like it was being reported in the chat last night, and I'm not Dan Davis as it was being reported by Lexi as well. So it was. It's 27 times 2, and it was yesterday. You did get it right, Martin. Those bits were correct.
Mike Matthews saying that carnage at the bus stop lap 1.
Yeah, absolutely. Was he need a crystal ball? Of course it is.
Well, I don't know if he needs a crystal ball or if he's just telling you what he's going to do.
Okay. Well, I'm on board with Mike because I tend to like
God.
Actually, I'm going back one. I'm going to go on board with Hoffer, to be fair, because he should stay in close contact. I usually start from the back to try and get the action, although I really want to go to the front tonight because I am interested to see how the front guys get away. But I think it could all happen. I think it could all happen mid-pack, you know.
I'm fully with you.
Mike might be right. He might well be right.
I'm fully with you on that one.
Oh, as Hooper gets it all out of shape before he even gets to the end. What is going on with Hooper the last couple of weeks? He's been driving like he's turned up at McDonald's.
Has he hit anything?
Donuts and... Sorry?
Has he hit anything? Okay.
No, he has just got up on the curb and no harm done. But look, the other week he was doing donuts in the pit lane, and good job the stewards didn't see that. I don't know if he's just been out and bought a Honda Civic Type R or what, but he's driving like he's got one.
What, a Jazz? I heard you talking about it so much and bought a Jazz.
If he was driving like he had a Jazz, he'd be at the back of Pro-Am. So, maybe I needed a Jazz.
Well, here we go then. They've come around the final corner. It's round 22. There's 3 races left of this season. 1 tonight and 2 at Donington Park next week. Track is up to 24 degrees track temp. Tardonk and Overtaker all on the marbles. It's green and go. It's a good start from Tardonk. Sylph going with him. He's not fully ahead yet. I believe he is now. It's that Overtaker. Williams battling behind. And look at Maya trying to go 3 wide. Sylph looking around the outside of Tardonk. A little out of shape on the exit curb. Overtaker still at the inside of Williams as they come in towards the S's now. Tardonk looks like he's got the run done. Overtaker being pulled by Sylph. Has to stay a little wider to keep that room from Williams. They nearly touch. Now Williams and Overtaker are side by side. They back out of it. And it's Overtaker in Sylph's slipstream with Williams watching on in the wings. Now Taker pulls to the outside. Williams on the inside as they come into the chicane now. All good at the moment. It's going to drop down to Matt Wright, and it all actually looks clean. And there we go. Hip and shoulder. Clouded on Mike. And the carnage wasn't there, but it was Mike Matthews who had a moment at the bus stop.
That was caused by Clouden. Unfortunately, Clouden's lost the back end on the way into the bus stop and just gave Mike the smallest of taps, but that was enough to throw him offline and compromise his exit from the bus stop chicane. He hasn't lost a lot. He's still there just behind Hoffer, but he did lose a place to Hoffer. So far, so good. Well done. They've all got through 3/4 of the first lap.
Yeah, they've all managed to get through at the moment, and it's relatively clean. Tardonk pulling away. He's already gone halfway through this lap, and Tardonk's already pulled the plug and has gone in this race, and he needs to do something to beat Sylph. This will, at the moment, before fastest lap, take another 5 points. That'll bring it down to 19 going into Donington. Bearing in mind that he'd have pulled, at the end of today, he would have pulled 19 points back if none of them two take fastest lap and Tardock wins the race and Silf gets second, he would have got 19 points, which would then, hey, guess what? Go down to race wins. We've been there before as Tardock clipped the outside wall on the exit of turn 1, and it's a train coming down to turn 1 as they go on to the second lap of this race.
Yes, indeed, and thank you, Jamie, for the birthday wishes. And I've had loads of birthday wishes one way or another, and I do feel blessed. Thank you to everyone who wished me happy birthday yesterday and today.
Had a birthday last night.
Oh, we did, yeah. Yes, we did, Mathew. Don't get me started. So look, Hooper with a run on Dan into the chicane. Are you going to do it? Dan backed out of that heavily.
Yeah. Dan gave him that.
Dave gave him that.
Yeah.
That was, he almost put the red carpet down and said, "Go on, my son, you go on through," because Dan wasn't getting involved in that.
No.
Quite smart on Dan's part. Hooper goes very wide indeed.
He's struggling with something. His brake lights, I've noticed, Kelly, his brake lights are flashing on and off. Dan's giving him a flash now. I think Hupert's possibly struggling with a brake problem.
Yeah, and the back end stepping out. I think Hooper is struggling with a talent problem tonight. He's usually better than that. Maybe the car setup's rubbish, I don't know. But the back end, I mean, he all but dropped it on the formation lap. So I don't know what's going on with Hooper tonight, but he ain't driving like he normally does.
No. He isn't at all, and let's see what's going to happen here then as we come through to start lap number 3. Here, Silf and Tardock have started to pull a gap on everybody at the moment. Hib saying a spicy Donny coming up, indeed it is. Overtaker over the curve, that may have pinged up a track limit warning. That's what drivers have got to be careful of throughout this race tonight, is just running wide over them curbs too much on the exit and getting a ping for track limits. Williams pulls out, has a look, shows take of the nose, pulls back in. Friedman sticking with the 2 Mustangs up front though, Kelly, for 3rd, 4th and 5th.
Yeah, absolutely, getting the best out of that Porsche. Indeed, yes, I've just gone on board with him, and he can see the back of Williams quite well. Williams is bothering Overtaker as well, isn't he?
He is, yeah. Hoopert's got past Matt Wright, I've just noticed. I think Matt Wright's had a moment because Dan is crawling all over the back of him, up through the S's. Slowest car in a straight line, the Porsche, I'd say, that's on this grid tonight. And you can just see there, look, that Dan, even with a slipstream, cannot get close.
Yeah, Williams and Taker tried to go side by side into the bus stop. Guess what? It didn't work out, but no real harm done.
Matt Wright's off. Sorry, Kelly, I don't know what has happened, but Matt Wright has dropped to the back of the field. I came off him because he backed out. Dan had backed out of the move on Matt Wright. So I don't know what has happened, but Matt Wright, damage to his car behind that of Van Zyl. Bonnet lifted slightly, also damage on the side. So I think he's at the front and side into the wall. We saw Matt Wright lose it in the first race on them curbs. So let's just go and inspect the front of Dan's car. Has Dan got any damage? Will that indicate any? Doesn't look like Dan's got any damage, so I don't think Dan's had a collision with him.
Friedman's going round the outside up into the nasty left, but Williams has got the inside line and got the line. Friedman tucks back into the apex. Will he get a run? I very much doubt it. I don't think he's got enough traction in that car to make a difference. But Friedman looking racy on these Mustangs.
Yeah, Friedman looking very racy. Dan, no damage, I can confirm, on that car. So must have just been the fact that Matt Wright has lost it on the exit of the bus stop chicane on his own. We saw he did it race 1. Hoffer, by the way, coming up through the S's, gave Jamal Clouden a bit of a run for his money on the last lap. Mike's dropped off the back of both of them. Here comes Hooper on Meyer in towards turn 1, gets the car turned in. They go side by side together, and that is a lovely move from Hooper. I tell you what, he's putting on some moves in this second race.
Yeah, probably got more power than his position. Maybe his tyres are starting to come to him a bit, and that car's going to start to come into its own. I reckon that is the best overtaking opportunity on this track, is into turn 1.
Yeah.
There's enough space, there's enough runoff for everybody, and that is the best overtaking spot, I think, on this track. And Hooper getting it done.
Yeah, he is indeed, as the Bentley once again gets onto the back of Clouden, loses out through the inner loop chicane there. Then Williams still with Overtaker, just dropped Friedman a little bit. Kalsef the best of the Ferraris tonight, and this seems to be what it is at the moment, doesn't it? It seems to be the 4 Fords, maybe Hooper might make that 5 Fords, and then it's who's got the best Porsche, who's got the best Ferrari, who's got the best Aston Martin, and then the Nissan, McLaren and Bentley are just the best because there's only one of them.
I thought you were going to say the asbestos Aston Martin, but you don't want one in asbestos, that'd be rubbish.
No. Also, I've just noticed as well with O'Reilly, he's had wheel problems, and there's no top Japanese car out there tonight.
Oh, what a shame for the Honda. Yeah, no Honda. And just if those of you who tune in regularly think that I don't like Hondas, I must say the One Motorsport Honda for the British Touring Car Champion of Josh Cook and
Stephen Jelly.
Thank you. I think the livery looks absolutely gorgeous in the black and gold. Classic colours, looks really nice.
JPS vibes.
Good, yes, absolutely. My favourite Formula One car ever was livery was JPS one. Yeah. I have a picture of Senna when he was driving the JPS early in his career, and yeah, just classic, absolute classic.
Williams and Overtaker really going at it up through the S's. Williams was really mounted onto the curb, and now he's got a great run on Overtaker towards the bus stop. Looks to that inside. He still kept half his car in that slipstream. Pulls back out now. Going to have a late look up the inside. Taker says no and shuts the door. Williams probably got out that camera angle. I don't think does it justice, because it looks like the driver defending chops the nose off. I think Williams got out of that more than Overtaker chopped the nose off there. That's a good bit of racing from these two, and this is what I think is keeping Friedman in contention. If we look at Hoopert as well, by the way, he's on the back of Kalsef now.
Yes, I'm on board, but he's starting to find pace, and now he's on Kalsef, and he's one side and the other, trying to go round the outside into the right-hander, and I think he's got it done. Again, Kalsef may have been a little bit kind to him, you know, and Hoopert muscling his way through in that muscle car.
Well, he's only got one more car to pass, and it's Ford.
Yeah. I don't think Friedman's going to give in quite so easily, to be fair.
No, because I think Friedman's well within this fight within Williams and Overtaker. Yeah. And this just goes to show this circuit, by the way, Kelly, look. They've gone through the middle sector. Friedman now back on Williams and Overtaker at the moment. Overtaker a little wide through that corner. Williams on the grass a little bit on the apex of the corner. So they're nose to tail for third, fourth and fifth. And down the start line to complete the fourth lap of the race. Hoopert, I think, just clipped the outside wall coming through the final corner as Williams is now having a look at Overtaker, and it is just a look for the time being.
Oh, as Friedman gets very close on the back of Williams. I don't think they quite touched, but Williams has gone wide. I'm not quite sure if they touched or not, but it was close. Look, I'm on board with Friedman now, and the Mustangs are just pulling away metre by metre as we go down this straight, as they just pull away. And I think because Williams and Overtaker are scrapping, that's what's keeping Friedman in play. I think if Williams was in clean air, he'd be gone.
Yeah.
And I think Taker's too busy looking in his mirrors. So keeping Friedman in play and bringing Hoopert into play as Hoopert gets closer and closer now to this fight. It's going to be a four-way fight in a minute. A couple of Fords and a Porsche sandwich there. It's going to be interesting because Hoopert is feeling aggressive tonight and racy. Seems to have his car a bit more balanced now. I think his tyres may have come into their own a little bit, Matt.
Just wonder if he ran a bit too much of a loose setup in that qualifying, and it just wasn't settled for him. But like you say, it's Ford as Williams has to get out of that, nearly into the back of Overtaker, and that will allow Will Friedman to get through, and maybe even Hoopert.
Yeah, not quite for Hoopert by the looks of it. He's on the outside of the tricky left-hander. He's staying out there. He's keeping Williams compromised on his entry. On his run up into the air, on his entry. This could give Hoopert still a run down the first straight because Williams was compromised into the penultimate corner. So now Hoopert is right on the back of him. But it's blow for blow, Mustang for Mustang, and Williams just looks to me like he's got enough just to stay ahead. We know Williams has been quick, so he can now pull up to Friedman and start giving Friedman a hard time. Let's Overtaker off.
He does let Overtaker off. I've jumped back to the other Greasy Bandits car of Jamal Clouden. He's got Tobias Hoffer for company, who's now brought Mike Matthews to play. Van Zyl's still got Mark right behind, but Hoffer, I tell you what, has had some great defensive drives this season. Now using that Bentley power, look, getting right up close to the back of the McLaren. Here comes the Bentley. Bentley versus McLaren versus Ferrari. Hoffer pulls out on Clouden. Clouden parks it in the middle of the road. Is that Bentley going to have a look up the inside? No, brakes a little earlier. That nearly catches Mike Matthews out into the rear of him. And that's where Hoffer struggled, look, through the inner loop onto the outer loop. There you go. Mike Matthews gains on Hoffer as Hoffer loses out to that of Jamal Clouden. I'll tell you two cars, Kelly, that are in complete no man's land are racing each other. The Team Audio Sport cars. Dan can't get close to the back of Maya, and Ben's not really got anybody pressuring him.
No, yeah. What can I say? You know, I'm absolutely gutted because you know this is my team. Yeah, you know. This championship's gone. You know, we would like to secure second place, but it's only first loser. So you know, we want to win championships. The boys want to win races. Dan wants to get back to it. Ben wants to win more and more. We've got a great choice of car for next season. I'm not going to say anything yet, but Team Audio Sport will be back, and they'll be back strong.
Mike having a look on the back of the Bentley here. That's allowed Clouden to just creep away a little bit. Oh, Matt Wright really off in the background, running wide. Jamal's clipped that outside wall again there, so another scuff on the side of that McLaren. But all well at the minute. And like you said, Kelly, with 13 minutes into this race, we've had a good couple of fights here. But it is a bit follow the leader without drivers risking their moves that they did in race one. We saw race one, a lot of drivers putting it on the line and trying to risk the overtake. Here, it is all very follow the leader, and let's just wait for the chance to come to us.
Yeah, I mean, the only one that sticks out as making lots of moves has been Hooper, but now he's kind of pinned behind a car that's of equal power and skill level as he does close up to the back of Williams. Williams had a bit of a scruffy bus stop, which has brought Hooper back up behind him. Will Friedman driving absolutely impeccably, keeping that Mustang honest.
Yeah, indeed he is. Martin saying, will the BOP change per season? The BOP just changes per track, so it depends on what LFM do. We are obviously discussing about a different BOP from Pitskill in terms of maybe looking at their BOP and seeing what they provide there as well. Then down the back straight they come. Ben's getting closer to Dan. Jamal hasn't dropped Hoffer, but Hoffer's definitely got Mike Hassel in the back of him, and Matt Wright pushing that Aston Martin of Van Zyl down the straight, looking in towards the heel corner. Matt Wright's going to have the inside line. They get very close without touching, and Matt Wright will now be on the outside for that left-hander up the hill, and is probably going to back out of that one, back to Will Friedman, who's losing the momentum to overtake her now.
Hooper just been in the wall, just scuffed the wall. Well, more than a scuff. If he had a wing mirror, he would have broken it.
Sorry, Kelly, sorry to butt in. Something's happened to Calseth and Meyer, because Dan's now got ahead of Calseth and he's on the back of Meyer now then. So them two's had a problem. Dan was nowhere near them two. Them two was fighting for position of 7th and 8th, and now Dan's got ahead of the orange Ferrari, has gapped Ben a lot more as well, and now Dan can look at the back of the green Aston Martin as they come through once again. So something's happened there.
Yes, obviously something we didn't catch. We can't always catch everything. Unfortunately, there is no sim game that lets you direct better than we can, you know, so we're doing our best to keep an eye on all the fights, but we do miss stuff from time to time. Sorry about that, but just the way life is. So yeah, this Friedman Williams Hooper battle has kind of got a little bit stagnant, although Williams has closed up to the back of Friedman a little bit, but the whole race, the whole battle has got, as I said, a little bit stagnant. Out front, Tardock has checked out, 3 seconds ahead of Silth now. It's kind of the gap that's been for quite
Dan's
some
now
time.
at the moment. Sorry again, Kelly. Dan's now very, very slow. Already goes defensive. He's got a front end scuff on his Porsche. I don't know what has happened to Dan then. I just noticed coming over the bridge of the straight called the Boot into heel, Dan has dropped behind Calseth and Rook in this race then, and has got Jamal Clouden now on the rear with Hoffer and Mike Matthews. So Dan's Porsche once again just doing Porsche things, and this isn't really a good advert for the Porsche, is it? Because drivers seem to be dropping that Porsche fast, and Dan's now struggling in it, and you know, Dan being a 10-time champ on SimPlay, as Clouden hits the wall hard. This could give Hoffer an almighty run.
Dan's pulled it.
Yeah.
What was that all about?
Not a clue. Not sure what has happened there, but Dan has let them all go. And through goes Clouden and Hoffer and Mike. But Clouden hit the wall hard there, and that's put Hoffer right on the back of him.
Yes, he did. Hit it very hard. Yeah, no, the Porsche has not been showing the car that it is in real life, you know. And Dan's a real Porsche fan, and that's why he wanted to run this car. The Porsche was quite some car in Project Cars back in the day. It was the car to have.
Oh, Cloud's off!
Oh, he goes all over the chicane. He kind of made a whole new line for himself. Got the car unstable. Hoffer goes through. Mike Matthews goes through. Dan goes through. Where is Clouden? Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a big mistake from Clouden. Lost him three places.
Three places, and it's lucky that he didn't spin him round and lose him the other two of Matt Wright and Van Zyl as well. But as is racing, Friedman starting to just chip away at overtakers lap. Then it's Williams and Hooper coming with him. Meyer on his own. Kaltef's got Ruck for company, and Hoffer once again defending like a trooper. But he was, to be fair, putting pressure on Clouden, and I think that's where Clouden's made the couple of mistakes. That Bentley definitely putting pressure on the back of the McLaren there that maybe distracted Clouden a little bit.
Yeah, possibly so. Yeah, Hoffer driving well. Mike Matthews now back into play on the back of Hoffer. This is all fighting for 10th place at the moment. Hoffer, Matthews, Davis, Clouden all in a fight for this 10th position as Hoffer gets right up on the curb on the penultimate corner, and but seems to have that Bentley under control. Ben moving forward now, and he's coming on the back of Kelseth. And go forward a bit. Hooper, Williams, Friedman, Overtaker, all pretty much the same as they have been. Pit window opens in 7 minutes?
Yeah.
So we'll see who's waiting for the pit stop.
Noticed a few cars giving the wall a nudge coming onto the front stretch, says Swindle Mike. And that has been the case. Dan is right in the slipstream of Mike Matthews now, and he's got that big hole as well, being punched by the Bentley. So Dan getting a bit of a double slipstream down the back straight in towards the inner loop. Dan gets right up close to the back of Mike, has to brake a little bit early. Mike carries a bit more momentum through that corner, and they all stay as they were. So drivers in this race, Kaltef and Meyer definitely had a moment that dropped them behind Dan. Dan then had some sort of problem. We don't know what's happened to all these cars. We've not seen a car off, bar Jamal Clouden. Let's point this out. Clouden's just had a snap there. We know Clouden made his mistake. Dan, we're not sure. Kaltef and Meyer, we're not sure.
I mean, is it one of those tracks? I mean, as I said, Dan was coaching me a little bit, trying to improve my game this week on this track, and because of the cambered corners, he was saying it's one of those that you can, push right into. As Dan goes off, He was weaving on that one before he even got there. I think Dan's struggling with some sort of issue. I know his car's got some damage.
No, there is. You can definitely see some scuff marks on the front, and that was. I don't think there was no damage after whatever happened to Matt Wright, but when Dan was behind Meyer, there is definite front end damage. You could see the sort of the scuff marks on the front bumper, and look at that splitter. No longer pink. The paint has been chipped away. That's how the indication that there is damage on that car. What the damage is, I don't know. But Dan has got a problem, and that is hurting him.
Yeah. And as I was saying, with this track, and kind of stop me if I'm wrong here, but the cambered corners and the nature of the track, does it make you feel like I can go quicker there? I can try harder there?
Yeah, I think all of these corners kind of look like that, don't they? As Dan's now coming under pressure from the Nissan behind. Dan's not really defending this one of Matt Wright, and Matt Wright is just going to breeze past him. And
that's the way you overtake at the chicane. That's how you have to do it. You have to be clear before you get there. And Dan, I think, let him through. Dan's struggling. I know he's going to be happy to get rid of this car, and I know he's.
Oh, Ben's past Kaltef. Sorry, Kelly.
We missed that one. I'm just having a look at Friedman and Williams. That's all pretty much the same.
Friedman's now under a second to overtake us, so he's chipped away. Hooper's dropped off the back of them.
Yes, he has a bit. I don't know where his pace has gone, or maybe he's conserving his tyres a bit. Who knows? But maybe just getting into a bit of a rhythm. Mike Matthews very close to Hoffer. That Bentley extremely wide though.
Dan's round. Just noticed while watching the Hoffer fight, Dan got on the marbles on the outside and has had a big moment, lost the rear. And round he goes. That's dropped him well off the back of the pack as Mike goes on the inside of Hoffer at the penultimate corner. Mike gets past the Bentley, and now can he start to pull away? Mike moves up into 10th place.
Yeah, Cloudon's right on the back of this fight now, and he's going to be pressuring Hoffer as well. Dan's got problems with that car. There must be something fundamentally wrong with it. What's the bets that he dives straight into the pits as soon as he possibly can?
Yeah, I think... Oh, you mean when the pit window opens? Yeah, I
when
think
the pit
right.
window's open, yeah. Yeah, although he's bleeding time here at the moment, if he is carrying damage, he's bleeding time. But, you know, I had damage last night out of the pit window. It cost me 45 seconds in the pits, you know, so, yeah, it's a lot of time to lose, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of time to lose, so we'll see what happens and throughout the rest of this race. And this is going to be an interesting one then, as Jamal Cloudon's now hassling the back of the Bentley of Tobias Hoffer in through the inner loop. They've got Van Zyl with them, who's just quietly gone about his day, obviously new to SimPlay Motorsport this season for the final 2 races. We don't normally allow that if you're wondering why there's new names on the grid. Due to the low numbers, the admins... and myself and then the 2 championship contenders of Tardok and Silver was happy to let them race due to them low numbers. And yeah, it's they've been pretty good, haven't they? Meyer and Van Zyl have had a pretty good night, steady.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, certainly keeping pace with all the rest of them. You know, they would they'd be justified to be in this group. Absolutely. I'm on board with Cloud at the moment. That Bentley is all over the shop. Hoffer is fighting that thing in every corner. It's understeer, oversteer, understeer, oversteer, all the way through the corners. But he's making it work. But it looks like a handful, it really does.
It does indeed, and it's allowed Mike Matthews to just pull 0.6 of a second. We'll see what that gap is at the line. Just noticing that Williams has got past Friedman for 4th and 5th, so Williams back ahead of Friedman by half a second now further forward, and Williams trying to get closer to the back of Overtaker, and that slipstream will be in play for the pink Mustang. Look, half a second now. The gap's he's pulled 4/10 in Sector 1 as Williams over Overtaker, and Will Friedman now 9/10 behind.
Yeah, I noticed that. I noticed that Williams had got in front of Friedman.
Kelly, we've seen this season that the Porsche's had a few tyre problems coming up towards the pit window. Is this possibly what's happening with Friedman and somewhat to Dan with Dan's damage?
Possibly. I mean, you know, as I say, if Dan can't tame the Porsche, then, you know, I mean, Dan can usually pretty much drive anything, you know, and do well with it. So if he can't tame the Porsche, then it's got to be hard work, isn't it? You know, and
I'm not sure, because I think Dan would even say that Friedman is probably...
yeah, absolutely. I'm not saying that he wouldn't.
Oh, no,
yeah. But what I'm saying is Dan will. I mean, he's a determined little person, and he will stick with it and try and, you know, get the best he possibly. Yeah, absolutely, persevere and get the absolute best out of it. And it's just not a contender with the rest of the field. So yeah, I know he's looking forward to getting rid of it.
Pac-Man 292 says Van Zyl driven against a few times. Good driver, he says in the chat. He's looked a very capable driver tonight and has held his own. He's on the back of Cloudon as well. We're currently watching. Meyer's in early. So Meyer's in before the pit window. That could only mean damage to me as Williams gets a run on Overtaker up the S's. Here they come then. So that could be a lifeline for Dan Davis in terms of an extra place. Here comes Williams to the inside line on the inner loop. Gets alongside Overtaker. Can't shut the door. Taker has to take to the grass. And that's a position for Williams, who gave him the space for the second part. But Overtaker off. Friedman's now going to have a look at Overtaker as well. Just wasn't close enough.
Yeah, I mean, that was a successful overtake through the bus stop, but not really, was it? It was all a bit scruffy and could have gone wrong. I don't know
what happened to Overtaker there, Kelly, because it looked like he gave Williams the space on the first part. It looked like Williams gave him plenty of space on the second bit. Just Taker went to the grass. I don't really know why. As Pat-Man says, we'll keep an eye on this with an eye on possibly joining you in the future. Well, end of the season is next week. We have then a 6-week break with a few events in between, like the 24-hour Nordschleife, and then the season will be starting in middle of June, I do believe. So if you want to join, get signed up by then with a chance to be in for the championship. Do your hot stint. That'll determine whether you are Pro-Am or Pro. And that'll be the case, obviously, with a side series on the Tuesday night as well. Might not be GT4 GT4s next year? Might be just a one-class series or something. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, might be a one-car series, mightn't it? I know there's been talk of GT4, but one car. I know that's come up.
Oh, well, now, hang on a minute, Kelly. Overtaker there, cut that pit entry line just slightly.
Yeah.
That has hampered Friedman, and Hooper sails past. So Friedman there, on 2 occasions tonight, one down in race 1 didn't hurt him too much, but that one with Overtaker there has cost him a place.
Yeah, I was on board with Overtaker, and he was a little bit squirrely, just trying to stay inside that line, which I didn't see Friedman's point of view, but it obviously unsettled him, and as you say, gave Hooper the run. And Hooper now he's in front of Friedman. I think he will just pull away, although he bumps over the chicane like he stole that Mustang. But I think Hooper's going to, with the superior power, is just going to pull away now.
Ben and Dan are also into the pits with Overtaker and Sylph. Really?
Let's see if Dan, how long Dan is sitting around for, if there is damage to be repaired.
Well, this is Friedman versus Hooper at the moment. Matt Wright's still on the back of Van Zyl. So let's see what happens then throughout the rest of this race. This is now effectively for 3rd and 4th, but it was a net 4th and 5th because Sylph and Overtaker pitted, and Overtaker was ahead of both of these guys. Clouden on the back of Hoffer still, so Clouden still can't get ahead. And if you look at my Matthews, my Matthews managed to pull a 2.8 second gap.
Yeah, Mike's off in clean air, got his head down, and he's getting away. I just don't think Clouden has got enough grunt to be able to put a move on. That's the problem. Hoffer driving beautifully, defending really well, but as I said, you need that overlap, and you need that that superior opportunity, and Hoffer's just not giving him an opportunity, although he runs wide on the penultimate corner. Not too much harm done, but yeah, Clouden just isn't finding that opportunity. Car's not powerful enough to make it, and Hoffer's just not giving it away.
He's not giving it away at all, and Clouden coming down the back straight. And I think here, Kelly, is a lot of these corners, you've got to have that nose along, you've got to be up the inside to really have a look at a chance of overtaking. And that is where the Bentley's power in a straight line compared to the McLaren's is just helping it stay in front of Clouden at the moment.
Dan's out of the pits and away. Is he? Yeah, he's well away. So he couldn't have had that much damage to repair. So maybe it was a tyres thing, Matt.
Possibly so. We'll see what happens then as Williams and Friedman both pitted. Friedman's actually going to jump Williams in the pits. Or is he? I believe yes. Williams is away, Friedman's away. I'm just going to go... Yeah, Friedman has jumped Williams by some margin here then. So Friedman comes out ahead of Williams. Had a look later, they go through the sector times. Calseth into the pits now. He was having a fight with Ben. Ben's coming through the final corner now, so let's see what will happen there then. Dan's behind Ben Hoopert on the track.
Not for position, unfortunately.
Calseth, sorry, has absolutely jumped Ben by an absolute margin.
By a country mile, he's out of view. Yeah, gone.
Oh, Friedman jumped Overtaker, so even though Overtaker was ahead at the pit stop, Friedman got ahead of him. So Overtaker, maybe a little long pit stop, maybe missed his box. That's not enough to have changed tyres or not, because the gap's not 5 seconds. They was that close, but the opposite way around.
Mate, it happens. I fell to it last night. Slightly better pit stop. Puts you in front. Everything counts in this game. Yeah. Everything counts. There's no point just going round and round the track, practicing going round. Pit entry, pit exit, pit hitting your marks. I didn't have a bad pit stop last night, but
Kneebone just had a better one.
Yes, and that just gave him enough.
And that's the fine mark when you're fighting so close, like you was last night, like Friedman and Overtaker have been time. Them fine margins is what can, gain you or lose you a place.
Absolutely, that's what. One knee bone the race last night was his pit stop, and fair play to him. Absolutely.
Hoopert's on his way out the pits, Kelly. Hoopert got ahead of Friedman as before them, him and Overtaker pitted, but Freeman and Overtaker come back through. And what about Williams? I don't think Williams has got the jump here. So did Williams have a bit of damage or two that he's maybe repaired, because he's not on the back of Freeman, he's not with Overtaker, and Hoopert's jumped him?
Yeah, he's actually... Yeah, quite a way back, isn't he? You know? So, I mean, you know, it's not the end of the world. He can pull it back if he's got pace. But Taker now kind of getting a little bit... going to have a go at Friedman. Really, through there. Look, you just compromised your own line. Yeah, that's what you did there.
Oh, Freeman's bounced off the curb.
Yeah,
so Freeman, who was
paid off that time.
It paid off. He was under no pressure from Overtaker, but he's hit the curb hard. And for Will Freeman, has gave himself some. Well, it looks as bad as what Dan's did, so that could really hurt Will Freeman. But Hooper, the beneficiary out of all that, because not only did he gain a place, he's now right on under the rear wing of Overtaker.
I mean, Overtaker did nothing wrong. I didn't think he was close.
Yeah.
He did nothing wrong at all, but it certainly unsettled Will Freeman. He was probably looking at Taker and thinking, where's he going, so on and so forth. It unsettled him as Hooper has a dive up the inside into the penultimate corner. Does he make it stick? Well, they're side by side as they go up the hill into the tricky left-hander, the hurry up and wait. And
Freeman's come back up the inside. Freeman's come back underneath that of Hooper. They're now side by side. He came from absolutely nowhere. Still has the inside line for the penultimate corner. That is Hooper has an almighty snap on exit and manages to somehow stay in front. That was a great bit of driving from all three of these. And now Williams has joined the party.
I said Williams wasn't the end of the world. He's back on it. He has a look down the inside on the brakes, but Freeman not having anything, chops to the inside, takes that line. That could have been risky, but fair play to Freeman. I didn't see him after he started to slide. I had the impression that he had lost a handful of time, but obviously he'd straightened it back up and got himself back into play. Fair play. Good
Something's happened to Clouden, because Van Zyl, Ben got jumped by Mike. I'm not sure how that is, so I don't know if Ben had damage, but Clouden Dan was 22 seconds behind the next car. He's now only 10 and a half. So I think something's happened to Clouden somewhere. But what a fight this is, and Williams has got Freeman.
He has, and that is the way you do. If you're going to overtake at the bus stop, Williams did it absolutely perfectly. He had enough power to get the job done before he had to hit the brakes, and got his line through the bus stop, but didn't compromise Friedman either. He was already ahead. That's the way you've got to do it.
Yeah, indeed. So as Freeman got close under the brake in there to the back of Williams' car. Tardock into the pits. Matt Wright is going to have to come in as well. He will not make another lap, and Matt Wright is into the pit lane. Then will he repair that damage? That's going to be the biggest question. I think he might be able to manage with it. And like Ben, that's why he's gone so long. But these four here, this is all, by the way, for a net third place between these four.
Yeah, and Friedman still keeping his own with these Mustangs. We've seen how good they are. Hoopert's come from a long way back now to put himself into play for a possible podium position. So he's driven well, attacked all the way through the field. But I've got to say, Williams has been good as well. It's Overtaker who's in front of all these lot as we come round with 25 minutes left to go. But Will Friedman still keeping with them. Fair play, good driving.
Yeah, great driving. Great driving. Tardock is off the limiter and out the pits. Matt Wright still in. So Matt Wright was behind Van Zyl. Let's not forget, Dan is now 8 seconds behind Clouden, so he's took a bit more time out to Jamal. So not sure what has happened to Jamal Clouden as now. Look at Williams getting that run on Hooper once again. Matt Wright's exiting the pits. Where will he come out? We'll find out in a minute. Williams to the outside line of Hooper as they come into the bus stop chicane. May have just got a nose in front. Side by side into the bus stop they go, and Williams makes the move. Hooper taps the rear. Oh, and now Hooper's in the wall. I think Hooper tapped. Hooper tapped Williams, and Freeman tapped Hooper, and 1, 2, 3 into the wall. And I'm sure Overtaker's seen that and said, "Thank you, Mama, for the carrots."
Rubbing his hands, saying, "You tards, what are you doing?" You know, and again, it just doesn't work, Matt. How many times have I said it?
Hooper's returned to the pit lane.
It looked to me that Williams lost the back end before he got tapped by Hooper, but Hooper tapped him, and then as that's all
Hooper's
happening,
gone.
Friedman runs into the back of Hooper as well. So I don't know what damage Friedman's got, if any, but he certainly gave him a bit of a clout, you know.
Well, Hoopert's gone. That's him retired from the race. That'll be a quali ban at Donington Park.
And
If I remember rightly, no, he's only had the one, so he's okay there at the moment. In fact, no, his name's down twice, so I believe he's had two, so that'll also be minus 25 points in that Drivers' Championship, and that'll actually put him back to O'Reilly, level on 600 points after he'd got in front, which will bring Dan Davis into play for a top three fight at Donington Park. Either way, race is still going on. 14 cars left out there on track. Meyer still going after. Not sure what happened. He pitted twice tonight. Not sure why. Dan's 8.2 off of Clouden. Clouden's 8.5 off of Wright, who came back out behind Van Zyl. Van Zyl's having a fight with Hoffer now, so Hoffer is as he was. Ahead of these three and Jamal Clouden, and Wright and Van Zyl in a fight there. Ben Rook is Hoffer's 2.2 behind Ben. Ben's 2.9 behind Mike. That's closing. Mike 7.2 behind Kalsef. Kalsef not yet through the first sector to Williams. That's 7.3. Williams 3.4 to Freeman. Freeman 3.5 to Overtaker, who is 11 seconds behind Silf, who is equally 4.7 behind Tardok. And crucially, Kelly, Tardok.
Van Zyl on the outside of Hoffer. I thought he was going to give it a go into the bus stop. He's just compromised his own line, but he backed out of it. Sorry, Matt. Continue.
It's all right. Crucially, Tardok's getting that fastest lap bonus point as well, which will be 6 points taken out of Silf's championship, taking that gap down to 17 points. And he gained what did he gain? 14 in race 1, 6 here. He gained 20 points tonight.
It's going to be a championship decider at the final round. You've got to love
Donington decider down to the last race.
Yeah, Van Zyl getting very deep onto the grass as he continues to chase down Hoffer. This is the closest battle on track at the moment. But yeah, we got a showdown at Donny.
We have indeed, as Swindlemax says as well. Bush Stop shows its teeth
every time.
And my days has it got some teeth on it, because it has just bit up and chewed drivers and spat them out tonight.
Yeah, it's a proper animal. And if you disrespect it, it'll bite you. And yeah, I hate being so incredibly right. I really do. Actually, I don't, to be fair. As Van Zyl is having a look now on Hoffer into turn 1. He's got the run as he comes over the line into the braking zone. He's got a bit of an overlap down to the apex, makes the apex, gives room on the outside. I think he might have got Hoffer done. Where is Hoffer? No, Hoffer's looking around the outside, but Van Zyl in that beautifully coloured Aston Martin.
Bentley's coming back at him, I reckon, here, Kelly.
He is, yeah.
I reckon the horsepower of the Bentley's going to come back at the Aston Martin here. Maybe too far back, though, to be fair. Van Zyl may have just done enough, and he has, he has. Good move.
I think he defended a little bit on the early side, which has compromised his bus stop a little bit, but he survives through it. I think he was defending a little bit fresh air there. I don't think Hoffer was enough upside, but sometimes it's difficult. If you're a bonnet cam, which is the way I drive, then you've only got a little mirror, and it's quite deceiving. The cars are closer than you think. All that thing about objects in the mirror and all that. It's hard to judge from that. You have to use your proximity sensors to be quite sure where people are. Yeah, I mean, Van Zyl's his line was okay, but I think he just defended a little bit too early. But hard to know where everybody is, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it was still good racing, though. I think good move into turn 1. Matt right now with that front end damage.
Absolutely.
He's now going to have a look. Ben had a moment. I thought I heard a slow car pulling away. He's lost 1.7 seconds to Mike, and that's put Van Zyl within 2.6 of him. The Aston Martins who had a good race in race 1. Been a good scrap tonight, Kelly. I think we've had great fights up and down the grid, and race 2 a lot better than race 1 in terms of the driving ability.
Yeah, maybe they learned something in race 1, and you'd like to think that good race drivers learn stuff all the time. So maybe they learned stuff, because it's been a little bit more what can I say, professional in race 2. We've still got 20 minutes to go, and I mean we're Matt Wright's coming back on Hoffa now. Other than that, we're pretty much spaced out, but anything can still happen.
Hold the phone there, because Dan's just took another 1.2 seconds out of Jamal Clouden. So Jamal has got problems here. He's not looked comfortable all night, has he? He's not looked good in that McLaren around here. And
sorry, Matt Wright's just gone round. Hoffa got out of shape in the chicane. I was yawning at the same time, to be fair. And Matt Wright has done Hoffa easily. Hoffa's mistake there.
Do you think Hoffa's changed tyres? Because he seems to have lost all pace.
I don't know. As loose as that Bentley was, I'd be changing tyres, you know. But I don't know. Maybe he hasn't. Maybe he's taken that risk. Some do, don't they? You know.
Well, there's Dan Davis. There's Jamal Clouden in the same picture, and Jamal just, he had to bounce back from that Mercedes season last season. He's had. I don't know if he's had a better season or a worse season, Jamal, but gone back into his beloved McLaren, it's not worked for him, and tonight's been another one of them races, Kelly, where he's just struggled.
I think Jamal, I raced him in GT4 last season. He was cosmically quicker than I was, but I think Jamal has underperformed a little bit this season. And again, he's picked a car. He's picked a car with his heart this time. He's a big McLaren fan. I mean, he's a big BMW fan, but he's I think his dream car is a McLaren. He's picked that car partly for reasons of the heart, a bit like Dan has picked the Porsche for reasons of the heart, and I think the pair of them have underperformed, and in different cars would have done a lot better, considering where their pace is, really.
Yeah, I agree, and Dan's now within a second of Jamal as we come into the final 17 minutes. There is a pole out for driver of the day. I've put down Overtaker, 2 podiums at the minute. Williams, a 5th and a race win. Cal Seth a 6th and a podium, and Mike a 7th and a 4th. The reason I've not put Tardock and Silf is they've been clearly the 2 quickest drivers today, and I don't think we expected any different than a 1-2 from them two tonight. So they're the 4 drivers, I think, who have had 2 great races today.
I personally would have thrown Friedman in the pot as well, to be honest, running that Porsche quite as high as he has. But
for me, it was race 1. I think, where was Friedman race 1? It was 5th, so 5th and 4th. Maybe I could have put him in instead of Mike. I don't know. I think Mike's had a good night to say Mike's had a bad season.
I mean, guys in the chat, if you disagree with what's on the poll, put your driver of the day, and we'll see where we go.
There was a few votes from Matt Hicks in the chat last night who didn't get on the driver of the day poll.
The driver of the day was well justified, of course, but and it's driver of the day is better than a win, and it would have to be last night. But I do believe that. I mean, I didn't see him all night, but I believe he drove an epic round last night, from what I believe. So we were never on the same bit of track at the same time. So well done to him. He's a professional champion, and well deserved. So I understand.
Hibbs, yeah.
Oh,
Cloudens cut the wall. I was talking about Hicks. Yeah, Hicks. Hicks in the Ferrari.
Both did well. Well done, both of you.
Cloudens just clipped the outside wall on the exit to the final corner. That's put Dan within a couple of tenths. Just going to jump. Big wiggle there. Just going to check. Williams catching. In fact, no, Calseth has now passed Williams. That damage to Williams may be hurting him. Dan now is going to get a run on Jamal Clouden. Up through the S's they go. Looks to the outside line, does Dan Davis. Can that McLaren, you'd imagine, should be able to outdrag the Porsche down this back straight in towards the inner loop, and you can just see there, look, that Clouden able to come back across a little bit as he puts the gap between himself and Dan. And I tell you what, that McLaren chucked over the curbs there and manages to survive at the moment, but Clouden struggling in that McLaren right now.
Dan didn't try stupid moves there. I think Dan was trying to do was unsettle Jamal as he got to the bus stop. Jamal's been complaining about struggling with the bus stop earlier in the week. I don't know if he's got it a bit more dialed by the time he got it, but he's been struggling with it. And Dan's also a smart racer as well as a quick one. And I don't know if he was just trying to make Jamal make a mistake into the bus stop.
Well, he has a look, and it's just a show of the nose. Dan's not one for a lunge, but what what Dan will do is he will show you the nose and see if he'll just outbrake yourself a little bit. That's when he'll then put the nose where it needs to be. No good there from Dan on Jamal. Jamal's just had a wiggle, just have come off him. Go back to him. Dan's not capitalised, so Again, just waiting, tucks underneath, but Jamal's going to have that inside line for the next corner.
Dan's going to go to the inside. I thought he might.
Great move. Brilliant. Dan just absolutely played a blinder on Jamal there. Let Jamal take the corner at normal speed. Jamal goes deep on exit, and Dan Davis up the inside. Braked earlier, slowed it down. Job done.
Classic cutback, absolute classic. He saw Jamal go wide. I thought Dan had hit the brakes too hard and had compromised his line on the inside, but he judged it absolutely perfectly. Dabbed the brakes, tucked it to the inside, and took the run down the inside. That was masterclass.
Good driving there, and he's put a bit of daylight between himself and Jamal. Going to go back to Freeman and Overtaker, because Freeman, with all this damage, 2/10 off the back of Overtaker. So Overtaker's just starting to struggle here tonight, Kelly, because I thought with Freeman, after he'd got that damage when he hit the wall, then he hit the back of Hooper, I thought Freeman's race would have been done and dusted. He's fighting for a podium here.
And you know, sometimes weird things happen, that the damage that you get actually improves the car. You know, gives you the aero balance that you may have been missing. But after that hit into the back of Hooper's car, I thought Will Friedman was done, but he certainly ain't. He's another man who's shown a masterclass in driving, and although he gets very close to the back of Overtaker and then compromises his own line into turn one. Some smart driving for some of these guys. The one I found, in my experience, who mugged me every single time I got on track with him was Ripper. Ripper was a extremely fast racer anyway, and I wasn't in his class at all. But any time I was in front of him, and you know, I have got a bit of a reputation for defence. But Ripper would just absolutely outsmart me within two corners. Sorry, go on.
No, Ben's within 8/10 now of Mike, but Mike is also bringing that gap down to Williams. So Williams' damage is hurting him in this race. Mike needs to hurry up and catch Williams before Ben catches him. But the problem is Ben is within that 8/10 of a second, like we said. Gap down to 9.8, so Mike takes another 10th out. Bit of a slide through the bus stop chicane. That'll not help Mike, and it'll bring Ben that little bit closer. And back to Overtaker and Freeman. That gap's over a second, so we'll stay with Ben. Not really spoke much about Ben in these last couple of weeks. It's just kind of the end of this season just dropped away from him.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly that. He was the best of the rest man for a lot of the start of the season, and he's had a strong season. But as I said, both the Audio Sport boys are focusing their attentions to next season and already thinking about the next one, and that's the way it should be, really. You know, start making a game plan for your next season and how you can come back better and stronger the next year.
So Ben now within half a second. Mike took another 10th through the middle sector out to Williams. A 10th a sector I don't think is going to be enough for Mike to do and close up to the back of Williams.
5 seconds a lap is pretty good, but not not a tenth or two. You need to do more than that.
Yeah, he does need a bit more than that. We'll see what it is as he crosses line. There's Van Zyl in the background. Mike now took 9/10 in the final sector out of Williams. That's a bit better, so that makes it 1.1 seconds that lap that he took out of Williams there then. But Ben's closing on him.
Yeah, Mike's struggling on the exit of turn one a few times. He's been out right over that curb, and then when he steps the back wheels right over the curb, it unsettles the back of the car.
I think he's just struggling on the curbs, Kelly, because through the bus stop last lap he had a big moment there, didn't he, on the curb? So I think that Ferrari's not settled on the curbs. Let's see him this time around. Doesn't look like it's as comfortable as the Aston. Look at the exit. Doesn't look as comfortable as the Aston behind him, does it? And I think the curbs that Ferrari's struggling. And let's not forget them curbs at Watkins Glen slightly raised a little bit. They're quite chunky curbs when you go on them. So maybe that's where he's struggling.
Maybe. I mean, certainly in the McLaren, Dan drove my McLaren and said how incredibly stable it was, and that's the way I like my cars, absolutely rooted to the ground. But of course, doesn't make it for a quick car. But Mike Matthews in that Ferrari, I haven't driven the Ferrari, I don't know what it's like, but it's certainly, I mean, that exit of that chicane was awful. It just chucked him out very deep onto the next corner. So you might be right. and it's hard to avoid them. You need those curves, you know. Ones like this one we're coming into for Mike.
Dan's lost out to Clouden.
Right off that.
Sorry, Kelly. Dan's lost out to Clouden. He's just re-overtaken him as I've gone on board, but as they come through Sector 2, Clouden was in front. Oh. And now Dan's just re-overtaken him.
He must have had a moment because he had pulled a second or so, second and a half over Clouden. So Dan must have had yet another moment in that Porsche.
Well, Clouden has a moment on the exit of the corner. I'm going to go back to Ben and Mike. Will Friedman's now 1.3 behind Overtaker. We'll keep our eyes on that Dan Davis over at Clouden fight though, and. Interesting to see here. Ben Ruck now getting on the back. Mike only gained 0.3 that lap on Williams. Tordok checking out, says Swindlemack in the chat. He's been checked out since pretty much the end of lap 1. Ben clipped the wall at the top of the S's there.
I think Mike's now busy worrying about what's behind him more than worrying about going forward.
I agree with you. I fully agree with you. As look again over the curbs. That Ferrari, a bit on the grass. Oh, it looked a bit better. It was on the grass, you know.
Yeah. The line out of there, Matt. If you get it right, you can stay on that exit curb, roll round it, and then be right on the apex for the downhill right. You know, and Mike isn't able to put that over there. He runs wide on the way out of here as well. You don't really want to be on that curb on the exit of there. Again, deep into this corner. I think he's just struggling with grip and struggling with the curbs for sure.
I agree, and you've got Van Zyl in the background as well as Matt Wright with 8 minutes left. They are close enough. Mike's not making. He's made 0.2 this lap on Williams. That's not going to be enough. I think Williams with 8 minutes left should hang on to an 8-second gap, even if Ben gets past Mike. Don't think they're going to have enough to catch him at this rate. But Friedman back with an 0.8 of Overtaker. Ben on the back of Mike. Van Zyl 1.9 off the back of these two. Brilliant at the minute. Martin in the chat saying he's in the zone just like Sny was yesterday. Sny was in the zone in race 2. He was checked out in that race. Dan's now gapped Clouden to 1.8 again. Dan's only 5 seconds off the back of Hoffer. That could be doable for Dan Davis.
What we got? Just 7 and 3/4 minutes. So we'll see if he can keep it in a straight line and keep it all together. There seems to be some wine going around in the chat as well. Some drinking going on, which I'm a big fan of that. Well done, guys. Raise a glass for us. Not alky pops isn't my kind of thing, but there you go.
Gary kept offering them you a few years back. That's what I just remember.
Offering who? Offering me? I was drinking the Jaeger, I think you believe.
Kept saying, Kelly, do you want a wicked? I remember being inside Craig Leach's bootlet while Dan was clicking at you, and
it was a good night. Know how that went.
It was a good night.
It was a great night.
Just looking at the last lap time, Kelly, Dan took nearly 2 seconds out of Hoffer, so Dan could be on for another place here.
He could well be, and we're gonna. Matt's referring to us being at Donny Park. Funnily enough, we're at Donny Park for the season finale next week. Please tune in. But we were all there for the British Touring Car Championships. We went to Thruxton last year and met up. Yeah, absolutely. And this year, me and Dan are going to Orton Park and hoping that Matt's going to join us there.
Yeah.
Looking promising. And you're all welcome. Come join us. Touring Car is the most fantastic value for money high-end league that you can go and see. I say league, real race. Do you know what I mean? Real motorsport, value for money. Bang for your bucks. There's nothing beats British Touring Car just in the action alone, but so much you get for your money.
So much you get for your money. Support races, minis, Porsches, Formula 4,
single seaters. You can get. We should be on a commission here. I wonder if Tokker's going to give us a commission.
Who's the guy who runs BTCC? What's his name? South African guy.
You're asking.
He needs to start paying. It's not McGowan.
Alan McGow, something like that. Yeah, I know the one you mean. Yeah, him. Yeah, he needs to give us some money because we're promoting Touring Car for him, and it is absolutely brilliant. Fantastic racing and full paddock access as well. The drivers, you can bump into the drivers and have a chat with them. You've had many conversations with Tom Ingram, haven't you? You saw Matt Neal just last week.
Saw Matt Neal Tuesday. My son saw Ash Sutton and Dan Camish coming out the toilets, stopped and had a picture with them.
I had quite a long chat with
Jake Hill.
what's his face, Jake Hill at Thruxton, chatting with him. I had a first look at his car when there was no one else there, and hopefully, Matt, me and Danica could be doing Thruxton as well this year.
Nice.
So Thruxton and Alton Park. But join us, come and have a drink with us, and we'll be there. If you are interested, we'll let you know more closer to the time. But SimPlay will be certainly represented at a few touring car events this year.
Always,
and of course. Yeah, and we'll be following it because we love touring car, probably more than we love anything else.
Yeah, way more.
Yeah,
F1, because F1 is boring and touring car is fantastic. That being said as well, Allengau, thank you, Hibbs. Allengau. I knew the name. Yeah.
I knew there was a cow or a cow in
there. Yeah, we was on the right line. He's the one who needs to be paid his commission for bigging it up. I was at the media down too, so what a season this looks like it's going to be. Fantastic. The Napa drivers, the Ford drivers here, it look like a load of minions with their blue and yellow overalls. They do. It's the way the blue's printed on the clothes. Like it does look like a pair of dungarees with yellow around it, like the minions from Despicable Me. As here comes Ben having a look to the outside of Mike Matthews. I don't think Ben's going to try this one. No, backs out of it. He's made a mistake. Oh, he's in the wall. What has he done there, Ben?
He outbraked himself. That's what it seemed like. He got to the outside line. Mike defended the inside, and Ben just went straight on like he outbraked himself. That's going to be major damage. They are. I mean, his teammate's gone through now. He's rolling over to the side.
That'll be a return to the pit lane.
Those things are rooted harder than Alton Park project cars tyres. They're rooted to the centre of the earth. They are. Absolutely, you know what I mean. We've all hit them on project. They are rock solid.
That's brilliant. Ian Best says touring cars or Rubicon. Both. Why not get a bit of sponsorship from both? Let's get a SimPlay flag for the boys.
Who said we need one sponsor? We'll have plenty.
Rob, you say about let's get a SimPlay flag for the boys tent. You'll be at Donington next weekend. I've got a SimPlay banner for the tent. That will be at the tank, courtesy of yourself, my good friend. Ben has returned to the pit lane. Now, that will not be a retirement purely because, and this is why, if you return to the pit lane after an incident, it is a 2-minute wait time plus damage. Ben will not be out for the rest of this race. Ben will finish P14. It will not count as a retirement strike. Because of the fact 2-minute waiting time plus damage. That's purely because he's not been able to drive to the pit lane. Dan's on the back of Hoffa, like we predicted.
On the back of Hoffa, and Hoffa goes wide out of turn 1. Dan's going to struggle to do anything with that. Hoffa will live to go up the S's, but Dan is right on the back of it. Sorry, it's not it. It's Hoffa. It's Tobias, and I love that name. Yeah, great name, Tobias.
I don't think Tobias, is he called Dan Tobias? I don't think Tobias Hoffa has changed tyres, because that Bentley looks all. I know you said it looked loose in the first part of the race, but look at it slide through. Well held, Tobias Hoffa. And I tell you what, Dan must have enjoyed seeing him hang on to that one. Dan was very complimentary of his defensive drive at Alton Park. Can he do it again? Tordok is way up through the S's. And what we're doing at?
I think Hoffa's just turned up to the Drift Championships because for the last 4 corners, that thing's been sideways.
Yeah. Absolutely has. Dan will be relishing this fight here. Damien says in the chat, literally laughed out loud when you said Napa boys look like minions. That's with me forever.
Yeah, I did
telling
too.
you, if you go to the touring cars this year, have a look at their overalls. Minions. Telling you now. In fact, Hibbs, I might even send you a picture on Instagram in a bit.
I always thought that Dan Camish was a bit of a one-eye, so
hey, no wrong with Dan Camish. No wrong with Dan Camish, former Honda driver, got to support him. Heck of a Porsche driver.
Yeah, but so was other people. Somebody, Coulthard.
Did Coulthard try to
I was trying to think. There was not that Coulthard. There was another Coulthard in Porsche.
Michael Meadows used to be a heck of a Porsche driver back in the day.
There was a Michael Caine as well.
Michael Caine,
very good. Yeah, absolutely. Me and Dan witnessed that crash at Thruxton where the Porsche went over the 6-foot fence. Yeah, me and Dan were actually there when it happened. That was madness.
I tell you, he's a heck of a Porsche driver. He's not been racing for the last couple of weeks. Fraser O'Brien used to race in the Porsche Carrera Cup. Matt Wright sent me a picture the other day. Someone actually was selling for £20. Oh, we've missed Tardock. Tardock's won the race. So I thought he had one lap to go. Tardock wins the race. Sylph is going to come home in second. I'll get to the point I was going to make in a moment. Sylph comes home in second place. Oh, Will Friedman's gone very wide. He's had a last gas block and overtaker. It didn't work for him. And he might end up in the outside wall here. Overtaker, double podium, 2 P3s. Good job from him today. Will Friedman solid fourth after them incidences. Kalseth, P2 and P5. What a day for him in this race as well. We've lost a driver. We've lost Williams.
Oh, what happened to Williams and where's he gone? Is he...
not sure, but Mike Matthews is now up to piece. Well, no, he will be classified because he got to three-quarter distance.
Right.
His little ping bar was in the red. So
is that what, sorry?
The little bar next to the for the ping. His little ping bar was in the red. Mike 6th, Van Zyl 7th, Matt Wright 8th, Tobias Hoffer. Did he just get a tap from Dan? He did. I think he did. I think Dan's going to leave him, I think Dan's going to let him have that place. Hoffer's going to defend him right to the very end, by the way. But Hoffer from Dan in 9th. Jamal Clouden's going to trundle home. Meyer's already finished. We've lost another driver from the lobby, so we'll just wait and see the final classifications at the end. I watched Tim Harvey in the Porsches. He was class. He was a good driver in the Porsches as well. But the point I was getting to, what was I mentioning? What was I saying?
We were talking about Porsches, good Porsche drivers.
That's right. So Matt Wright sent me a picture. Somebody on Facebook the other week was selling a signed Fraser O'Brien image for £20.
Wow.
Yeah. I didn't realise Fraser O'Brien was that good a Porsche driver that he was valued at £20 on Facebook Marketplace for somebody to have a picture of his Porsche signed.
Very much a marketplace thing. What people ask for something and what it's actually worth are two different things. I've met many dreamers on Facebook who think that they've got something that's worth something and they really haven't. So just because there's a price on it doesn't mean they're going to get it.
Indeed, that is the case. Right, we are going to shoot over to the Discord chat for the interviews, and I'll input the results, and we'll be back in a second. And we are live in the commentary box for the podium conversation this evening. What a night it has been for everybody involved here tonight. I am just going to input the results. But Kelly, solid night if you're Tardock in that second race.
Yeah, well, for Tardock, he's brought that gap down. We've got a showdown at Donny Park for the pro winners. It's going to be a championship fight, and that's right at the end of the season.
It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be an interesting battle. Final thoughts tonight, your driver of the day, because it's been a few drivers that's had a good evening.
Race 2 better than race 1 for driving standards. There were some very optimistic people in race 1, ones that should know better. I've dripped on many times about driving standards, and I'm sure somebody will say, "You driving standards, really?" But I'd love to see race as close to realistic as possible. And there were some optimistic moves tonight, but all in Watkins Glen, a great track race. Great racing all the way through the week. It all starts again next week, of course, Tuesday, Thursday, Donington Park. You've got to love it. For me, I thought about it, and for me, I'm going to go with my gut and say that Will Friedman for driver of the day. I think to tame that Porsche, to keep up with the Mustangs, he's been there or thereabouts all the way through the evening. For me, Will Friedman is my driver of the day.
I'm going to go a different approach. I'm going to go overtaker. I think his
strategy
to jump Mike in the pits race 1 for third place, great. And I think he was involved in that great fight with Friedman and Williams and Hoopert in race 2 and hung on in there for that P3 there. I think driver of the day for him. So it's a split vote in the commentary box. Overtaker takes the fans' vote for driver of the day. Just reading some of the comments. Congrats to the winners and a great race. Superb commentary as always, guys. Thank you, Swindle Mac. GG says Gary Clawball. I agree. Great comms and a great race. Congrats to the 4 guys on the podium, says Martin.
Thank you.
And yeah, till next week, Donington last round. Friedman for Martin also, he says. Great race.
She was pretty tired.
He's going to join us in the Discord chat for an interview. So I will go through the podiums now, just to see if any through the championship standings now, just to see if anybody will join us at the very end. But 17 points is the gap. Tardot gained 20 points over Sylph tonight. He is 17 behind Sylph going into the final 2 races with 113 points on the line. Hoopert's still third, but Dan Davis is under 20 points behind him with O'Reilly 8 behind Dan. Will Freeman's up to P6. He's only 9 points behind Dan, so he's brought himself into contention for maybe P3 in the championship. Ben Rooks P7. Then that just shows how he's died off at the end of this season.
Yeah, absolutely.
Overtaker's 8th headed Jamal Cloud, and Matt Wright has gained on him. So has Mike Matthews. That could go down to wire for P9. Patrick Ledger 12. Hopefully he'll be back for the decider. Tobias Hoff and Michael Harris. Skunky, Carlos, Viper and Gary Leach. Then it is Calcef up to P21. Good night for him, to be fair. 2nd and 5th. Solid.
Good solid drive. Yeah.
McGowan's 22nd. He's on holiday. I think he is back for Donington. I'm not 100% sure. Williams P23 again, solid night. Bar that disconnection in race 2. Great win in race 1. Fraser O'Brien, the Porsche man himself. Let's hope he's back for the Donington decider. Van Zyl, solid start to his campaign. Meyer, great first race. Unlucky race 2. Don't know really what happened there. Then it's Joe Bates, Richie Michelle, E. Collin and Ellie Pocket. And then it is MSA Racing, who are 468 points clear of Team Audio Sport. I think even barring penalties, with it being provisional results, I think they're going to have that championship wrapped up. Even barring the results. SimPlay Racing are still ahead of Greasy Bandits with Quantum Motorsport, Old School Racers, Team FPR Team, SPR, Effects Motorsport and Red Rum Racing. Just going to look at the Discord once more. Nobody has joined us.
Nobody.
In the box. So Kelly, that is where we're going to leave it. That is where it will end. And for the what an end to the night. What an end to Watkins Glen. Donington decider, GT4's drivers and constructors up for grabs. Dan Davis will be live on Tuesday night, 8 PM BST for that one. The championships are all wrapped up in Pro-Am. Select will be bringing you probably pure chaos in Pro-Am on Wednesday.
I do hope so, or not, as the case may be.
And then me and Kelly will be back for the Donington decider in Pro. But for final time, Kelly, tonight at Watkins Glen, what an evening.
Yes, indeed. As I said, shame we haven't got any drivers to chat to. You guys still listening to us, think about how you can get involved in the 24 or who you can get involved, because that's close to being right on top of us in a minute. But next week, Donny Park, I'm racing on Wednesday night. Sorry about that, other Pro-Am guys, but I am going to be there at the home of SimPlay, and it's always good at Donny. Roll on next week.
Yeah, roll on next week. The Donington decider in GT4 and in Pro. Like Kelly says, get yourself involved for that Nordschleife event. Get yourself involved as well if you want to be a part of the commentary team, steward team, help out in any way, or be a driver for next season. As Watkins Glen comes to an end, there's 1 week left of Season 7 to then have officially done as many ACC championships as Project Cars 2 championships. Can you believe that? And it all ends at the home of SimPlay Motorsport, Donington Park, for the season finale next week. Dan Davis will be live on Tuesday with Lexi, Wednesday, myself and Kelly Thursday night. Don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Hit the bell to be notified. Go to our description. We've not had a chance to mention it tonight, but check out Design Manchester and Audio Sport. Links to the sponsors are in the description. And please, we beg you, just check out Audio Sport on YouTube.
Subscribe. Don't watch the videos. Just subscribe. That's all we need. I want to get to 90 subscriptions by the end of the season. We've had 2 this season, so thanks for your commitment, people.
We'll have an update on that next week. We'll make sure that before we get into any championship talk on Thursday night, when we've introduced ourselves, we'll get straight into how many subscribers have you got. You can check at the end of the night, and we'll see what's happening. But thank you all for tuning in. As always, we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Good night.